I hear last week they found a couple out in California. They rent out rooms for old people, kill them, bury them in the yard, cash the Social Security checks. Well, they torch them first. I don't know why. Maybe the television set was broke. Or maybe their internet was broke and they didn't have access to the calls. Cult of Movies podcast. It's no country for old men.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you've invented Facebook.
I've abandoned my child! I've abandoned my boy!
Once said that he regrets Hiroshima. Just I gotta get back to her. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, welcome to the Calls Cult of Movies podcast. I'm Jacob Vinus.
I'm Matt Whalen.
And today's episode is on Jill and Ethan Coen's masterpiece, No Country for Old Men. This is a film that me and Matt cannot relate to because we're both very young and very in the country. Um, so how you doing today, Matt?
I'm good. I mean, I was going to ask you, what's it like to be mid-30s? Isn't that old? I mean, you're an old man.
Yeah. It's funny because I know like in the grand scheme of life, I would not be considered old, but there's a lot of these movies like revisiting where it's talking about like guilt and regret and all this stuff about being old. And even in my 30s, I'm like, man, I relate to this way more than I did 10 years ago. So
We're at the point now where it's either you relate to it or you know you will soon. You're just like, so that's what I got to look forward to.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, yeah. So yeah, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm tired, but it's been it's one of those weeks where you're just like, wow, I did all 5 days and I got through it, and now I'm gonna do it again. But oh
There you
boy,
go. Yeah.
yeah. What about you?
For those who don't know, we record this on Sunday, so
Yeah.
uh,
Sundays and then Wednesdays we publish, and I do all the work, and Jacob doesn't edit at all. I edit
that's
everything.
exactly how it goes. Yeah, I did well. I had a good weekend. I spent the weekend at the movies. I went to the movies
Mm,
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
mm-hmm.
Uh, I saw on Friday, I saw The End of Oak Street, which I thought was phenomenal. I was like, I really, really like his first two. I think he made one film before It Follows, but his like popular movies, It Follows and Under the Silver Lake, I'm a big fan of both of those. So
Mm-hmm.
I actually had higher expectations than a lot of people because I was like, I think he's gonna deliver. But even I was like really surprised at how good it was.
Oh, good.
It's only an hour and 40 minutes, so you'll like it since your number one studio note is always it's too long.
It could have
Um,
been 10 minutes shorter.
but it really doesn't overwarm its welcome. And if you like Twilight Zone stuff, I think it really
Mm-hmm.
fits that vibe because like I think some people who aren't really on the wavelength, I think you just overthink it. Just like don't like treat it like an episode of Twilight Zone where it's like just like give in to the premise and enjoy. It's definitely the best dinosaur movie since the original Jurassic Park. It's better than any of the
Really?
sequels. It's not saying much, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it's he's a really good director. There's a lot of cool sequences that are like long takes where, you see like the tail of the dinosaur hit like something that's real in the object. It
Mm-hmm.
feels like a lot of people have been saying it feels like late 70s, 80s Amblin, Spielberg, like
Hmm.
they're saying Amblin specifically, not Spielberg, because it kind of has like the Joe Dante or like Toby Hooper Poltergeist kind of thing where it's like a little
Mm-hmm.
bit meaner. But it has like a twist at one point that like I mean I looked at Elise when it happened and she was but it's really I don't want to oversell it because it ultimately is
Mm-hmm.
just like a fun
Yeah.
dinosaur monster movie, but it was really fun and it's also going with like the Amblin 70s 80s. Of course it has to do with like potential divorce and all that like
Mm-hmm.
like all and like I mean maybe it's just because Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor, who I think are both really good actors. We talked about Anne Hathaway and last week with the Odyssey. But I just those moments, those beats, I actually like. I felt like they were significant enough for me to care about the characters, which made the payoff at the end very good. On top of obviously like the action and suspense was really intense. So that gets a big recommendation for me. So yeah, I really liked that, and I do. Anne Hathaway was given a lot more to do in that than the Odyssey. Uh,
Yeah. Even by the trailer, I was like, wow, she has like a lot more to do just in the trailer alone. Is
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's really good in it. It was really, I mean, it was really good.
So so we were talking, my wife and I went and saw Disclosure Day, and I know this was sort of a critique of the movie, but it was one of the things we really, really liked about it was even down to the music, it was a very old fashioned like 70s, 80s, and you're talking about Amblin. So is that sort of the feeling of like not even nostalgia, but just old, like a classical way to do it?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, it does do kind of like the Stranger Things thing, where like it actually is
Yeah,
set
yeah.
in 1982, which like I think for this film, since they literally go back in time, I kind of think it actually adds a little layer to it for it to be
Hmm.
set in the 80s. But yeah, I mean, I think some of that I always think is a little overdone. Like it's like you can make a movie that feels like that that's in modern time,
Hmm.
but yeah, it feels it does feel like an old-fashioned way of filmmaking. Like it's just again, it's like economic filmmaking. I mean, nowadays even the Jurassic Park sequels are 3 hours, you know. So like, I
Hmm.
mean, I'm on your side on those. So it's just economic filmmaking. It has heart. It's got fun
Hmm.
action, and I don't know. I like it. Again, don't go in there expecting like some masterpiece of like thought provoking, but it's really fun.
Sure.
And like really the only negative is the effects aren't incredible. Like some of the CGI is a little cheesy, but it's like it is what it is.
Hmm.
Um,
So, what were the other ones that you saw? Because I'm curious, because I'm trying to go more often to like see new releases.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you have an AMC near you. I don't. We don't get. We're not getting paid for ads. But I have AMC
Yeah, not
anyways,
yet.
so I go all the time. I went and so the other one I saw Saturday. I saw was like I think I remember the name exactly. It was like teenage death and sex at Camp
Yeah, yeah.
Mishima.
Miasma, I think, right?
Miasma. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Not Mishima. That was like a real mixed bag for me.
Hmm.
As like someone who I love that era of like slashers and stuff, and it's clearly coming from like a place of love for it. But
Yeah.
and I thought like it did a really good job of capturing kind of the tone and the feel of those kind of movies and the visuals. And I thought the visuals were phenomenal. I thought a lot of the formal choices of the film were really well done. But like the kills themselves, like I thought absolutely sucked. Like it's a lot of CGI blood, and
Mm.
that was I think the point was like it was kind of making a comment about how over the top the violence is in those movies, but it just felt weird to like be so laborious about making the films look and feel like those kind of movies, and then do the kills with modern CGI. It just didn't make sense to me.
Hmm.
Um, and also, it's just like it was very essayistic in kind of the worst ways. Like it was very much
Mm.
like uh, I don't know. Like sometimes a lot of like meta storytelling often doesn't work for me because a lot of times it feels like the filmmaker's like, I'm smart and I'm smarter than you, and let me explain why. And it's like we've all
Hmm.
taken film 101.
Hmm.
So that kind of stuff just is grating to me. And then I also, it has a lot of internet humor, which is also grating for me.
Hmm.
So perhaps I'm just the old man and it's a country that's not for me. But like I said, formalistically, I thought it was great. I thought it looked great. I thought the performances were pretty good, and there was a lot to like, but a mixed bag for me. So. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I will say like I always admire something like that that takes really big swings than something that plays it safe. But for me personally, a lot of the big swings in that movie were misses for me. But I always
Hmm.
respect something like that. And then the other one I saw, which we already talked about last week, is I got tickets finally to see IMAX 70 millimeter Odyssey for a second time in that proper 70 millimeter IMAX setting. So we went this morning, and that was awesome. That was the fourth time I saw it. Um, my feelings haven't changed. I think the first 20 minutes are a little rough, and then it gets really good for a while, and then it's sloppy but awesome, which is what we said last week. So seeing it in that setting is still just
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, it was really awesome. Yeah, I did have two people mention like why we didn't mention Memento last week.
Huh.
Memento's fine. I like it. I mean, it's fine. I don't know what to say. Like I liked it. I like it. Kundun, I
Yeah. I
liked
mean,
it.
I think we'll probably do his earlier work at some point. We'll touch on that stuff, but I think we were trying to keep with the more present day sort of evolution. So we'll get around to it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, my big thing with Memento, we're not going to talk about Nolan all day again, but it's like
Please no.
Memento and Inception are kind of like, to me, it's like once you know the rules of the game, it's not as fun. So like I just feel like they don't
Mm.
neither one of them hold up as much. Whereas like I think that's why the Prestige is so good because I actually think it's better when you know it gets better when you know the twist.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways, enough of that. Enough Nolan. But
All
yeah,
right.
so what about you? What'd you do? Did you do anything fun this weekend as I
Um,
slumber?
No, I had a good weekend. We actually spent the leading up to this weekend. We watched all of the Holland Spider-Man movies, which I haven't really watched a Marvel movie like sequentially like that since COVID. So it was fun to go back and just sort of be a kid and watch like just some fun popcorn movies. And then we went and saw the most recent one last night, and we got tickets later in the day, so we had to sit like, you know how there's like the all the stadium seating in most theaters, and then there's the reserved seating on the floor, and then there's those two rows, like A and B rows, right beneath the screen.
Hmm.
We had to sit in
Oh
B.
wow.
So it was very sort of in our face, but actually it ended up being pretty fine, except for the real distraction was these teenagers who were in there.
Hmm.
So PSA, just please, be quiet, like whisper, but don't like
Don't
they
even
kept getting up and
don't
like
whisper.
dancing and stuff. Yeah, don't
Yeah,
whisper.
yeah. Well, yeah. Certain, definitely don't dance. What the fuck? Get out of
It
here.
was so, and they were in A, so like we could see them real close, and they left like a mess, and it was more of a distraction because that movie, which I really liked, was so emotional and it's discussing things that most Marvel movies don't talk about, and it's like now's not the time to be dancing, sir. Please sit down. But it was a
Yeah.
really good movie. I had a good time besides wanting to hit them with a rubber bat, which I didn't do.
Yeah, I liked the new Spider-Man. It was pretty good. I am so I used to read comics growing up, and but I mostly read like I didn't read the comics that were coming out of my age. I read a lot of like the old stuff. So I
Hmm.
read a lot of the old like 60s like early Stan Lee Spider-Man comics, and I think my biggest issue with the Marvel Spider-Man is I don't like how he like is kind of established almost as like a sidekick to Iron Man, and he has all these gear and all this.
Hmm.
So like for me, nothing beats like the Sam Raimi ones because those capture the Stan Lee comics so well. Of like
Mm.
if it's like Peter's broke and it's like he's trying to like balance how do I have a girlfriend? How do I pay the bills? How do I go to school while also being a
Hmm.
superhero? I find that way more endearing and way more interesting. And so I think what I liked about Brand New Day was kind of the first MCU movie that actually kind of deal with that kind of Spider-Man a little bit. So,
I
um,
completely agree.
so
I
I liked that.
seeing honestly the biggest the drawback for me in the movie was probably Bernthal being in it for just kind of being there.
Yeah,
I like him, but I don't really, you know.
yeah, I felt like the first, I don't know, like maybe half of the movie was like, oh wow, this they really did it, and then the second
Hmm.
half it was like, oh yeah, we've got to introduce X-Men, we've got to do Punisher, we got to do, and it was like, all right, like it kind of lost me a little bit.
So my train of thought during watching Brand New Day was I had right before that, like literally, I think the same day, yesterday afternoon or something, I saw that the X-Men cast had been released and like announced or whatever. And so I saw that Sadie Sink was going to be Jean Grey, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I go see Brand New Day, and I hadn't had it spoiled for me. So I'm watching the movie, and at first I'm like, oh, this is Doctor Doom. He's the one in the apartment with the hood up. And then I see Sadie Sink, and I'm like, huh, wasn't she just announced? That's interesting. I wonder who she's playing in this. And it wasn't until
You
they
didn't
said
realize.
Jean Grey. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, right. The crossover is happening. Okay. I
Yeah,
like, that's how little I follow this stuff because it's so complicated now with like, we have to understand movie licensing rights to be able to
yeah.
understand why they're doing what they're doing. But
Well,
it
now
was
they
still
own.
fun.
Yeah, well now they own everything. So,
Yeah. Did you
um,
watch Stranger Things?
I gave up after season two.
Okay. So you didn't see Sadie Sink in that.
I thought she was in season two.
I
Isn't
think
she
she
like?
shows up. I
Isn't she
think she
like? Isn't
shows up.
her character like Max? Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She's so season two. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know me. I don't watch a lot of TV, and I just felt like I don't know. I just lost interest. It was
We
kind
never finished it either.
it was kind of like this is what I think End of Oak Street does well is like it's not just like I feel like Stranger Things a lot of it's taking a lot of like superficial connections to those kind of stories and not actually
Hmm.
telling stories like them. Whereas I feel like End of Oak Street again it does set it in 1982 and there's some superficial stuff, but
Hmm.
the actual way the story is told like those kind of movies. So, but yeah, I mean she seems like a good actress from what I've seen, and I mean I think that's an odd way to introduce that character, but
Very odd.
you
That's why
know.
it's like I don't really care. I'm not going to try and keep up with this. Okay, fine. She's in
No,
the
no,
movie.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Um, yeah, I don't know if it's just because I read comics, but guessed who she was pretty early on because I saw it opening weekend. But and the whole
Hmm.
time I'm watching like, why is she the villain? Like, this is kind of odd, and I guess their reasoning is enough for you to
I
forgive
yeah,
her. I don't know. It's
the
strange.
whole kind of ending was by that point the kids in the front row were like really distracting to the point where I was like, someone needs to come in here and tell them to leave. So to that point, it was I want to see it again just because the ending felt sort of awkward, and I didn't
Yeah.
know if that was because of my being distracted or not. But what was the name of the director of Into Oak Street? Is it David Robert Mitchell? Is that right?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. I
I
just wanted to
realized that.
point him out.
I just kept saying he. I realized I didn't even say his name.
I do it all the
Yeah.
time. I was just like, do
Yeah,
I know that director?
it follows is quite good, and I love Under the Silver Lake. Like I
I've
love
heard
Under the
it's a
Silver
huge
Lake.
hype for that movie. I want to see it. I haven't seen that. I've
Yeah,
seen It Follows a few times, but
it Under the Silver Lake is kind of like if Inherent Vice is like a stoner like detective noir, Under the Silver Lake is like a stoner Hitchcock noir. Like
okay.
it has like very remind I mean it's very reminiscent of Inherent Vice and The Long
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye and Big Lebowski. Like it's in that line, but then it
Mm-hmm.
has like a very reminds me a lot of Vertigo with his
Mm-hmm.
obsession of this missing girl and kind of like um it's also just like kind of like more of like a I guess conspiracy. I don't know. It's a lot like those kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it. It was like the first time I saw it, it was kind of like Inherent Vice, where it's like I don't know what the hell's going on, but I really like it. But on multiple viewings, I just like really I love that movie.
Mm.
Um,
Good.
but
Yeah, I want to see it.
yeah. But anyways, so enough of that. Let's talk about a movie from 2007.
Yeah.
Uh No Country for Old Men, one of the all-time greats.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, what tell me about the Coen brothers. What's your relation to the Coen brothers? What's your relation to this specific movie, like No Country for Old Men? How'd you
I
discover it?
th- I think it all starts here. I think this was the one that I was in high school probably when it came out, and I wasn't following all the stuff that surrounded it. It just kind of I think showed up in my
You were in
house
high school
probably.
when this movie came out?
What's 2007? Maybe I was in middle school.
I
I
feel like
must
you're
have been in. I
yeah,
think
because
I was in middle
yeah, because
school.
I was in high school. I'm 5 years older than you. I'm like,
Okay.
that can't be right.
Okay, I couldn't place it, but you're right. Yeah, I got my schools mixed
What
up.
year were you born?
96. So what is that?
You were 11 years old. So if you were following the No Country for Old Men when you were 11, you would be a sicko among sickos.
That's yeah, I would have to have a lot going on that was not going on. But yeah, I think it just kind of showed up in my house probably through like Redbox. My dad probably rented it or something, and I really these movies that we've started with all kind of date back except for well the two that we except for the Odyssey. Um, I really don't have like a specific origin. Like I don't remember being like I was sat down on a Saturday, but I do remember just knowing about it and being interested in it because, and not really understanding it. A lot of it is like so unspoken, and it's still one of the best written movies, but it's also incredibly sort of sparse in its dialogue and specifically sparse in its exposition. So when I was watching it when I was younger, I was like, I don't really get what's going on here, and it's such a process driven movie that there's so many things that if you're not paying close attention and you're not really of a certain age, you just don't really get. And so I just liked it for the energy that it was bringing, and it did feel, I mean, pun intended, it felt like an older man's movie. And so
Mhm.
when you're in middle school or you're in high school or something, you're like, I don't really relate, but I can see why this is manly and interesting and scary. And so, and then as I got older, you learn to appreciate like this is a true, like this is one of those classic, masterpiece kind of movies. And I really enjoyed it for that. And then I go back to it probably once a year. I saw it last year in Atlanta. There's the Plaza Theater,
Mhm.
and they played it just for one night. My brother and I went and saw it, and it was an incredible experience because it was just, I mean, to be frank, a lot of guys that look like us, and we could get into that. But it still, I mean, people. There was nobody talking. There was nobody moving. It was dead silent. Like I remember, there was one guy who made the decision as soon as Ed Tom Bell starts opening the door at the very end, and it's you don't know where Sugar is, but he's hiding in the motel room, dead silent, and then some guy starts opening peanuts or something, and people were like, and it was just you could hear a pin drop. So it's still very effective to this day, and I appreciate it for that. What about you?
Um, I think I'm pretty sure this was my first Coen Brothers movie too. I remember when Oh Brother We're Out There came out. That was a big thing, and I remember hearing about Big Lebowski
Mm-hmm.
as like the I guess the cult was building on that one, but I hadn't checked those out. But I remember No Country for Old Men came out. I remember it was, I think I saw it when it won after it won Best Picture,
Hmm.
because I was like, because I remember like I was starting to get into movies, and so I was trying to follow that kind of stuff. And the year before, the first year that I so I watched the Oscars in 2000 for 2003 because I
Hmm.
loved Lord of the Rings, and Return of the King won Best Picture, and I was like, "Oh, this is great!" Like the Oscars, of course. And then I didn't have any interest for 2 or 3 more years, and then The
Hmm.
Departed came out, and The Departed won. I was like, "Oh!" So then No
Yeah.
Country wins, and I'm like, "Okay, well that has to be awesome," because the only two times I've ever paid attention to the Best Picture winner, they're both amazing movies.
Yeah.
So I remember I was 16, so I couldn't buy a ticket myself, and my parents had no interest in seeing it. So I remember the first time I watched this movie was on a torrent on computer in my computer class in second period, and I
Wow.
sat and watched it. And I when it got to the ending, I thought that the torrent like ran out. I was like, "What?"
Oh,
I didn't
it just
realize that
cuts to
like
black.
yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that was the ending of the movie.
That's
But
awesome.
I remember even watching it like that, I was like, this is like really good. Like I remember like being like I was sitting there on the computer like 16 years old, like wow, you know. Um, but yeah, and then as I got a little older, like the Coens, I would they're probably in my top five favorite filmmakers. I love them, and
Hmm.
as I've gotten more into them over the years, you kind of realize even though that this is based on a book, there's like a lot of similarities to most of their work in this film, and it really when you really look at it, it makes like a perfect pairing. So it's funny because I think what's interesting about this movie is and really the Coens in general, they have always been like on the outskirts of, because there's making these independent films, and they're these everyone knows them as these great filmmakers and singular filmmakers. But unlike guys like, like PTA or David Fincher or whatever, they actually got Oscar success pretty early on. They
Hmm.
won Best Screenplay for Fargo, and which is probably still my favorite Coen Brothers. Maybe
I agree. It's that
um,
and Blood Simple for me, probably.
yeah, which actually both when I just talked about how this No Country is a lot more has a lot in common with their films, even though it's not written. There's a lot of Fargo and a lot of Blood
Hmm.
Simple, and when you think about this Blood Simple takes place in Texas around the same time, because
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I think that that's kind of interesting that they, for whatever reason, they had a little bit more of like that the industry kind of seemed to respect them a little bit differently, a little bit more
Hmm.
than some of those other guys. Um, and so then when it comes up to the Oscars in 2007, they won Best Picture. The 2007, first of all, the year of 2007 was just an incredible year. One of the
Hmm.
probably the best year of my lifetime. Um, but you have obviously No Country and you have There Will Be Blood. Those are the two big ones. But you also have Michael Clayton, which I think is a great film, Zodiac,
Hmm.
Assassination of Jesse James. You had kind of a lot of these great films that are now still seen as great films. I mean, normally 3 years, like no, it doesn't even take 3 years. It takes like one year, and people look back and go, "That was nominated for Best Picture," But I mean, Zodiac wasn't even nominated,
Yeah.
but it's funny to me that one. I think most people would have this in their top 10 best picture winners,
Hmm.
or at least top 15. And
Yeah.
it's funny
Probably
because
top five. I mean, this is one of the, everyone loves this, I think.
yeah, but it's funny that it would be there, and yet a lot of people agree that it shouldn't have won. A lot of people still think There Will Be Blood should have won. So I just think it's like I think that shows how great of a year it is. That it's like this is a lot of people consider this one of the best winners, but they still don't think it should have won. Like I think that's
Do you,
insane.
well, I was going to ask you, do you think that this has anything to do with the size of the two movies being so different? One is very contained, one is very sparse and a little bit more like inside of just this little vacuum, and the other is sprawling and has a lot of
Yeah,
loose
I
ends
think.
and
I mean, I think part of it is I do think Daniel Day-Lewis is a big part of it. Is I think
hmm
that when you look at There Will Be Blood on first viewing, that it's one of those things you kind of get mistaken of how great of a whole movie it is because his performance is so great. And so I think it's
hmm
easy because a lot of times these people who vote for Oscars, they watch all these movies once and then vote. And so I
hmm
think I think that's part of it. But then I think what you're saying is true to an extent. I also just think like the Coens are. I mean, even though we think of them with PTA and Fincher and all those, they're older than those guys. So like they
hmm
were, I think that's part of it too. Is just they were older. They'd already won screenplays. They were a little bit more established. And you gotta remember, like we said about with the Master, There Will Be Blood was kind of like PTA's coming out party of like as a, like I'm not just like a Scorsese Altman ripoff guy. Like so, I think even though he was nominated for Boogie Nights and Magnolia, he was coming off Punch Drunk Love. I don't think I think it was like this is the first like it's like this is his first like great movie that only he could make. He'll make more. Whereas like no,
Hmm.
whereas like I think for the Coens, it's like I think at this time they were already in their 50s maybe or late 40s. I was like, and they were more established. It's like, oh, they'll make who knows how many more movies they'll make. So I don't know. I also think part of it is I think both films are about things that were current, but I think the Coen brothers, I think No Country is about something that was like really like culturally relevant then. Because so I remember I wrote this down, but I feel like the movie is very strongly about like post-war, like post 9/11 America from the standpoint of like I remember growing up, um, because I was 15 when this movie came out, or 16 when this movie came out, is I
Hmm.
remember like pretty much like from like the odds were like filled with like yeah the world's ending like it's so like we have this new terror like this war on terror. It's like this new evil that no one understands, no one can comprehend. We're not at war against a specific nation, we're at war
Hmm.
against an idea. Like they're just these people are willing to just like suicide bomb planes into buildings. Like what are we gonna do? And that was like
Hmm.
an ongoing thing. And I think in No Country being this whole thing about it's this ongoing, it's this change that you can't stop. This and then it's like this evil that represents that. That's like this is it this new evil that you don't understand. I think kind of it was like it was in the water, it's culturally.
Hmm.
And even a year later, I mean, The Dark Knight's about a lot of that same stuff. Like I actually think those two movies would be a really good double feature because it's like it's both about like these two, like outsiders who come in and start, causing chaos. And, the both movies are constantly people saying, this is a man you don't understand. This,
Hmm.
they say that about both of them,
Hmm.
some men just want to watch the world burn, and that's not even talking about the fact that both of them won Best Supporting Actor and both movies have a coin flip guy, coin
Yeah.
flip. Right? So, and that movie's also obviously has a lot of that. We talked about that last week with parallels to the kind of the War on Terror and the Patriot Act and all that. So I think part of it, even though, and also the book was written in 2005, so I think some of this stuff is even meant to be in the book too. So I just think it has more cultural relevance at that time. And then now, what's also funny because the movie kind of supports this too is like now we look back and we go, it wasn't that bad back then. Like it's gotten a lot worse. But then it's like that's kind of like the point of the movie where like the when he's talking to the old retired guy and he's like,
Hmm.
what you're doing, this ain't nothing new. That's vanity. So it's
Yeah.
like, um, but I don't know. I think maybe that's overthinking it. Maybe that's just because I was like 11 to 15, so that was like the ages I was becoming more aware of this stuff. So it just really felt like everything on the news was like, we've never seen this before. So maybe that's part of my age, but it just felt like that felt really because even watching it at 16, that those ideas were on my mind of like, oh yeah, this is this idea of like what are we fight and of course not that There Will Be Blood doesn't have. I mean, There Will Be Blood's about a corrupt oil man while we're currently while we were
Well,
currently fighting about wars
yeah.
probably for oil. So like it's not to say There Will Be Blood doesn't have these kind of themes, but I think No Country, it's easier to see those. And also No Country is just more of a like it's actually the first three-fourths is a pretty traditional genre film. It really becomes more the last act. And like there's still just a lot of people that would rather like there's a reason like super artistic movies don't win.
I
So
I think you're right, but I do think that there's a certain amount of difference with the two films being both timely and timeless in terms of what they're the types of people they're capturing. So like There Will Be Blood is about somebody who built an industry, who helped build up a new industry rather. And it's about sort of the insular life of somebody like that, which you can't really get access to. You don't know what that's like, and it's he's sort of towering over everybody else. And I feel like No Country for Old Men is about all the people beneath guys like that who don't have who are trying to fight and kill each other over like a couple million at most, and it's people who are down on their luck, who are army vets who will never get to the point at which Daniel Plainview or somebody Zuckerberg, what have you, or what's his Citizen Kane? What's his full name?
Charles
Charles
Foster
Foster Kane.
Kane.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
But that thing of just like there's the ivory tower, and then there's everyone else sort of fighting for scraps below. And I think it's those two movies sort of capturing two different worlds, and we live in one and we don't live in the other, and most of the time. But I do think that they're about things that aren't, because you could say, oh, There Will Be Blood is sort of getting us ready for what we're living in now, the AI boom and all that kind of stuff. But it's also about how California was built, and it's very much based in history and the people that went out there and did that way before, 100 years ago. So I don't really have a favorite among the two, or I don't really see them competing with each other. I think they're very different films. And I think that, this is the thing that I always laugh at is like, why don't we just put random movies of the last 5 years together to win Best Picture? Because it doesn't really, the idea of like release dates and I get that there's something in the air when a movie is released, but I'm not sure that every single time, year after year, these movies need to be compared right, up against each other when it's a little bit of happenstance. And from what I feel like, it's I don't see those two movies competing. I think that they're about different things in some ways. I see why that they came out at the time that they did, but I don't know if they need to always constantly be compared to each other.
Oh yeah, no, that's just the stupidity of the Oscars. I mean, that's always going to be dumb, but it just, unfortunately for them, they'll always, like anyone who lived through that, they'll always be,
Yeah.
because those are
Or
the
follow
two.
movie news. I mean, you just pointed it out. I was probably, I was 11,
Yeah.
so I didn't really live through it in that way of like being conscious of stuff like that. But you go back and you're interested, and you hear all these people on podcasts like this or in movie books or whatever. They're like 2007.
Yeah,
And I go back and I'm like, really, one of my favorite movies probably is Zodiac of that year, if I had to pick. So and that's about the 70s, and it's, I just don't know
it's also about an evil we don't understand.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Same for Michael Clayton.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, every movie, isn't every movie kind of the same? Let's ponder that.
All right, well, the podcast is over. Yeah, no. I mean, obviously I get, I do actually, it's funny. It's just like unique when it's very rare when it's like you have two movies that are fighting for it and you're like, oh, actually both these movies are great and they're going to be all-time greats. That just doesn't happen. Ironically, I think the only other time I've really felt that since then was last year. I think One Battle and Sinners are both equally
It was hard to
great films.
choose.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
I'm an Academy voter. That's why I say it was hard to choose.
You know how they always, on I'm just gonna. I mean, I don't feel weird naming other podcasts. You know how like on the Big Picture they always talk about how like SAG people like realize like there's a lot of like Leathermen and people who vote on a SAG, like it's not really a great predictive of the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you I got to vote for SAG this past year?
Really?
Yeah,
That's
even
cool.
though I'm not in SAG. Like it's just like it was
That's
a way,
weird.
it was something to do with the me acting in my movie, Bloody Cheeks. I don't, but
That's cool. I didn't know that.
no, it was cool. I don't think because the movie got pulled from Amazon, I don't think I'll vote again. But
Do
so
you
I
do you
voted
know?
for
I was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you what you voted for.
only one person I voted for won. I don't remember who I voted for except for the person that won, which was Sean
It
Penn.
was Timmy. It was Timmy. It's okay. You can say it.
I think I voted. I might have. I think I voted for Leo. To be honest with you, I didn't
Okay.
vote for TV. I didn't do it like because I'm a responsible voter. I was like I didn't watch
Oh,
any of
okay.
this. I didn't watch any of this shit.
So you're the
I,
one.
so I voted for. I voted for just like the movies, but I voted for. I might have voted for Timmy. I feel like I voted for Leo.
That makes sense. I mean, you were excited by him just by like the first 30 seconds of that trailer. So
Yeah. We were both working when the One Battle teaser dropped, and both of us had to take turns taking bathroom breaks so we could go watch the teaser. Oh,
we're very
classic.
healthy people.
Very.
Normal. Yeah.
Anyways, all right. So yeah, so that's that.
Have you read the book, or like do you have familiarity with Cormac McCarthy?
I have not read this book. I would like to read some of his work. He seems
He's really
seems like an interesting artist, but I'd be lying if I said I was.
he's
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
All
I was
right.
just gonna say
I'm not on the lit corner anymore. It's back to Matt. I'm too
I
busy
read
reading.
it only-
I was too busy reading the Odyssey.
It took you that long?
Yeah.
Since you were 16, you were
Yeah.
too busy reading Odyssey?
Yeah.
You
hard.
probably were reading about this time. when this movie came out. No,
Yeah.
the only reason I ask is because the production of it is interesting because it was a galley proof that was given to the Coens. It wasn't published already, so when they picked it up, it almost was immediately like there was no question that they bought the rights immediately and they were gonna make this movie. And so it's interesting because when you go back and you read the book, and I did read it once a few years ago and was looking through it a little bit today, but it's pretty sparse and a lot of pretty much the entire book is what you see. There's not like like for instance, There Will Be Blood. He took the first half of the Upton Sinclair novel, Oil, and he did whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
Same for Vineland with the most recent. And so for this one, it was pretty much just the book was adapted straightforward, and it's very much like the way that he writes is almost in a screenplay format. He doesn't use many adverbs, he doesn't use a whole lot of punctuation, he doesn't really describe too many things, or it's every word is chosen very specifically, but it's a pretty quick read if you can follow like the way that he writes, which is pretty different from most people. He doesn't even use quotation marks when which is pretty tough to follow. So for this book, it's easy because it's just about a man on a run and some money. But when it's about like a Western and it's covering several years, it gets kind of complicated. So I was just curious because the fact that they saw this and saw that they could have a hand in something and that they could relate to it, and truly like we can get into their roots as like being from Texas and how that impacted Blood Simple and in this movie. It's interesting that they would see this and just immediately be like, Cormac McCarthy was already a pretty established writer at this point. He'd been writing for, I think, since around the 1980s. And this book came out, and it's just fascinating that they would just see themselves in it so quickly and know that they could take it on.
Yes, the one thing I just want to double check because I was like, I don't think that's right. They are not from Texas. They're from
They
Minnesota.
aren't?
They're from Minnesota. Yeah, that's where Fargo and all that.
I thought they lived in Texas for a little bit, though.
Maybe they did, but it says they grew up in Minnesota.
There's something about this is maybe just like something on the internet that I read 10 years ago.
They did enroll in the University of Texas at Austin, so maybe
Because they made Blood Simple. That's so interesting.
in Texas. Yeah, so I guess maybe they went to Texas for college. Which makes sense because Austin had a really in the 80s. So that Austin had a good independent film boom.
That's where
Richard Linklater and Sam Raimi,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So that makes sense. But I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure they're from Minnesota. But anyways,
I thought I stopped myself for a second because I remembered Fargo and I was like, they did make Fargo.
At least you didn't say that Todd Phillips directed Tar.
I want to see Todd Phillips' Tar, and I want to see Todd Haynes' Joker. I want that to happen.
Well, at least it wasn't Todd Haynes either. Though.
We can't get this right. Oh boy,
It's Todd Field. Okay.
Poor Todd Field. He'll be okay.
Yeah,
Fidelio.
Yeah. I mean, as many people watch this podcast as his movies. So. I mean, I love his movies, but come on, there's a reason he's made like 3. They don't make any. No one's like, let's fire up Birth.
Well, you know what?
Which I loved.
I love Kate Blanchett.
It's on Criterion now. It's on Criterion now. Yeah. Oh, I love Tar. I like her. I like his movies a lot. Anyway,
Is that Nicole Kidman? Is that
Birth? Yeah. Birth is awesome.
The kid comes back claiming to be your husband. I want to see that so bad.
It's really good.
I've heard that's okay. I want to see it.
So yeah.
Do you want to wrap this up and just go watch Birth?
Yeah, all right. So I already kind of mentioned, but yeah, it's like the first 3 quarters like pretty traditional genre. And it's got like action, all that kind of thing. But I think not only is it traditional, it's like we kind of keep kind of mentioning like it's just a good fit for them, like we have like the suitcase of money, which is like Fargo, and you have like the good meaning sheriff in a small town, unfamiliar with this new evil. It's like Fargo a lot as well. I also think Sugar is very similar to like the biker from hell in Raising Arizona. It's like here's this guy from hell, it's like kind of like that's like the comedic version. I also think like the management side of like the cartel kind of very reminds me of like Burn After Reading. So and then I don't know how funny, like I don't know how much that the wit and comedy is from them or from the book, but I don't know. Rewatching it, like, because I think when I think of this movie, I think of like especially like the last act, how like really like impactful it is and deep it is. And then when you rewatch it, you're like, it really is just as funny as all of their comedies. Like it is a really funny movie and a really witty movie. Um, but so it's kind of funny to me that like even it does have this big, very obviously the ending we'll get to at some point, but it has more of like a I guess like an anti-commercial last act. But in the grand scheme of things, when you think about it, it is kind of like their a Coen Brothers movie,
Hmm.
and I think that's one reason why it it works the way it does because I'm a little like the biggest thing that when it first starts to change is it doesn't show Llewellyn's death. That's the big one. It's like
That
you
was so confusing when I
yeah.
was a kid. I was like, "Where is Llewellyn? What? He
Yeah.
just he just
Yeah.
never comes back in this movie."
And so it doesn't show us, and then of course it ends with these several contemplative scenes, and it
Hmm.
ends with Tommy Lee Jones explaining his dream, and then it cuts to black. I do remember, and again, you were 11, so I don't know if maybe looking back, but like at the time, the ending was so controversial. It was
Really?
so everyone was just like fuck this movie, like fuck, like it
Hmm.
was, and like on the What the Fuck podcast, WTF with Mark Maron, PTA jokes that like him and the Coens like on the rounds were like they're gonna vote for whichever movie they hate the ending of least, and like so funny because like both those ending, I mean I hate to just keep comparing these movies, but now both those endings everyone like loves. It's like the
Hmm.
No Country ending is amazing and the milkshake thing is amazing, but at the time that was the idea. It was like you have both these great movies and both these film like both pairs of filmmaker, the pair of filmmaker and PTA both just have the stupidest ending at the end, and we're like, no, that's fucking awesome. So, but I do like the milkshake thing doesn't make sense to me at all. But from the No Country, I can understand like the average person, like they're going to watch like a Western and then that happens. I can understand them like because
Yeah.
you don't you're the hero gets killed off camera and then the other hero never encounters the villain. Like so it makes sense, but I just obviously it takes a lot of balls, but and it's lived on and it's one of the reasons why the movie still holds up and is special. But obviously a very interesting choice, which I'll talk about more in depth in one of the categories. But yeah,
Yeah, I feel I don't know. I mean, that's the thing about this movie is I feel like it's always been around for me just because I was 11 as we've established. I was 11 years old. 1 plus 10.
yeah,
But I really responded to it even then just because I didn't really care. It was amazing and it was like
yeah.
it was something to chew on. It was something to take home with you and now it's like one of the best quotes from a movie. And you kind of wait for there have been times excuse me, where I've watched this movie, just I can't wait to get to the ending because it sums up the whole movie.
I mean that's you. You're
And
like yeah, that's how you watch movies like this.
that's not what I mean. I actually have an antithetical take on that today. So how dare you, sir? Yeah,
We'll get to that
yeah.
when we get to
It could have been 4 hours. No,
that.
I want to watch them take each individual screw out of the wall. I want to see him clean that wound. Um, Also, quick question: should we just end every podcast with "We're finished"? Do you think that should
That'd
work?
actually be good. Yeah, that actually good. We're finished. Ba, 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 ba. That might be getting so copyrighted for free.
We could do like a take on it. We don't have to do
There he is right
exactly.
there.
There
Oh,
he
it's
is.
actually that's Phantom Thread. Just kidding.
Is
Our,
it still
our
recording?
yeah, it is.
Okay, okay. It
Our four
disappears sometimes.
our four viewers will notice that I'm in a different location.
I turned the light on.
Perfect. Okay, well, moving. So, but yeah, the other thing. So you mentioned this, and I want to talk a little bit about it before we get into the actual categories. Is
Yeah.
I think of this film as a film about process, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with any of Robert Bresson's films, but
A man escaped.
yep. So Man Escaped, all of his, but Man Escaped's the big one, but really all of his films. And then I don't know if have you ever seen Jean-Pierre Melville's Les Samurai
I
or
have. I just rewatched, or just rewatched. I watched that one and
Le Cercle
Shadow of.
Rouge?
No, I want to say the
Armature.
one
Yeah.
Army of Shadows. Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched those two like last year. It was amazing.
So Robert Bresson and Jean-Pierre Melville's kind of his crime films, and then also I'd say William Friedkin's Sorcerer right out of this list. Those kind of movies where it's just like you're watching a character doing a process, and in
Mm-hmm.
all those cases, it's something very so like Man Escaped is a guy trying to escape prison. Sorcerer, it's this guy trying to move this truck, and then of course in the Melville films, it's like these crime. A lot of times there's like heists or crime things, and oftentimes the way that, especially Bresson. So Bresson famously never used any music, which was a big influence for this film because I counted last time when I watched it last night, I counted 3 moments of like little like beats of music, like just like notes, but not even really song. Like I don't think there's even an official score.
Hmm. I
But
mean, Carter Burwell just had the easiest job that
yeah,
day.
yeah. But yeah, so it's like there's no score, there's not really any montage. It's just like showing it happen. There's not quick cutting.
Hmm.
It's like showing stuff happening in real time, and it's kind of hypnotic in the way that it does it. And of course, like it has to be something interesting. Like I mean, it doesn't have to. Obviously, it can. There's films where people are filmed that. I mean, even some of Bresson's films are not doing something that interesting. But in For No Country's Sake, it's them doing something interesting where it's like a crime or whatever. But it's like it also they kind of reveal character in the way they do it. And like I
Hmm.
think what's interesting is a lot of the set pieces of this film are these like moments of processing, when like when especially when Lewin finds the drug deal gone wrong and he's like systematically like checking the scene to eventually
Hmm.
find the money, and it's like the just watching him do it, and there's not a lot of dialogue. I mean, he talks a little bit to himself. I already told you I got no agua. but
I'd
uh
watch your backtrack.
but it also kind of reveals character because it's like
Mm-hmm.
clearly eventually they just straight up say he's served in Vietnam, but it's like clearly this guy has like a background. He's a veteran. He kind of knows this kind of stuff. um but then you have like Sugar fall. I always say his name wrong. I keep wanting to say Sugar because that's what he says as a
That's what I
joke.
wrote in my notes. I was
Yeah,
just writing sugar the whole time.
yeah, but when he's like following the tracker and it's just like them
Yeah.
like driving, and then I think like the biggest one is and most interesting is Lewin hiding the briefcase in the vent and
Hmm.
every process of go like it's in my favorite moments. But I'll say it now, but I fucking love when he's like you got tent poles. He's like, oh, I can what tent you have? I can order them. No, I'll just get it. I just want a tent now. What kind of tent? The one with the most poles. So, but it's so interesting, like what he does and
Hmm.
everything. Um, and then also, then you also have like when Bell's like checking the crime scene with his
Hmm.
uh, partner and they're going through everything. Then like Sugar cleaning his wounds and all that. Like there's so many movies like a more like normal pace like action movies probably not going to take like they'll have the scene of like normally the cleaning the wound scene is like this is our time to have like a romantic moment where it's like she's like cleaning the wound and then kisses him or something like in Indiana Jones. Where does it hurt? Whatever. It's like very rarely do you have like a scene that's just like we're just going to take 5 minutes out of a movie just to show exactly what he would do.
Hmm.
And the way that it's like the film is just it's about doing. It's about what you would do in these in this these moments, and it's just the way they do it is very interesting. And again, it's part of it. The reason it's compelling is they're doing interesting things. Like hopefully, I never have to attend a bullet wound on my leg. Hopefully, I'm never checking a shootout or whatever. But nevertheless, I just think that's kind of like when I think of the movie, I really think of those moments more than anything. So yeah, I just think that was worth mentioning. But I don't know if you got any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that it's a movie about process and it's a movie about simplicity and stripping away pretty much except for Carla Jean and obviously Ed Tom Bell's wife is featured, but we don't really know much about her. She has horses. It's really a movie about just like I want this thing, whether it's I want the money, I want to get this guy, or I want to get this guy who's trying to get this guy. It is so cut and dry what they're after, and so a lot of what they're doing for this process is incidental in their approach. So they're not making it like you're saying a romantic beat or anything like that. There are moments of romance between Moss and his wife Carla Jean, but there's not really a whole lot of like you're saying. There's just not.
You
It's
keep talking. I'm gonna take you back there and just prove you.
that'll be the day. But it's very much about the lengths to which someone will go to. It's would you, I mean this is what you would have to do. Like it's stripping away all of the I don't know. Should we, get a car? They just do it. There's no
Yeah,
debate. There's no, I don't know what, it's just these three guys. That's all that they care about. And they all come from a similar lineage of like, I don't really have a whole lot else going on and I have a lot of time and I don't really need, to go to a day job. I'm retired or I'm doing my job or my job is to kill you. Like it's even to the point where I think the biggest question about this movie is about the cartel. They don't even care about that. It is because these guys don't care about the cartel, so we are not going to be learning about the cartel. It doesn't matter to us. What matters is he wants this money and he wants this money, and they're going to go after each other. And then it's broken up with, which I think is really smart, because they know that they're making this for an audience in, at the time, the present day, which is they have these moments of either levity with the humor, which is pretty dry, but also hilarious to me, but also, shootouts and car chases and running through streets and breaking glass. And even like one of the best parts about what you're saying with the process elements of this movie is the way that sound is used. So you can, like, even now as I'm talking, I can hear the sound of like the air duct being, messed with, and like I can hear the coins being moved around. And it is such a important element of this movie is the way that the sound is almost, you have to have the music stripped away so that you can really give that much more I guess just weight to the fact that the sound of the air duct is important, because you need to be inside that room. You need to hear the fan going. You need to hear the door open, to the point where even as the door, the feet come under the door in the motel, you need to know that that's his feet, and you need to know that he just turned around, not just through shadow, but the creak of the floor. So all of that is so much more important than high tension, just music for the sake of, oh, it's Hollywood. And it's not really about that. This is what would happen. If you want $2 million, this is what you got to do. And it's boring and it's tedious, but it's real life. And and also to the extent that it's so much real life that, you probably end up dead at the end of the movie. So good luck with your $2 million, because you're going to die no matter what you do. And it's futile. And the futility of process is a really interesting thing to base your movie around, but it's impactful because we're still talking about it 20 years later. So
Yeah, and I think that's just funny because talking about how stripped it is. Like I mentioned, the first person I mentioned was Bresson, but like he famously like never used music and also didn't use like trained actors because he wanted to be so like stripped back. But yeah, I think part of the reason they can get away with some of the like a lot of the contemplative aspects of this film is because it's so stripped down and it's so simple. I think if you were too busy like trying to figure out the plot on top of them being like, let's get real deep here, you'd be like, what the fuck's going on? I give up.
Yeah.
But yeah, saying all that, it is interesting to me. I am surprised. Now, at the time, it was like the third lowest box office Best Picture grosser, but like it has become like my parents have seen this movie. Like it's become pretty mainstream
Criterion.
and on FX and all that. Yeah, I mean more mainstream than Criterion. I mean, it was like on FX and that kind of thing. So, like I remember one time my grandpa was watching it on FX at the beach. I'm like, what? And I do think it's a little surprising because like it really is still it's not like a I wouldn't look at this as like them selling. Not that I don't mean that in a bad. What I mean by is like it's not like some super
It's not a
mainstream movie.
populist. Yeah.
It's really not. So it's interesting to me that it's kind of become, especially with the ending and all that. But it really has. It's I mean it is one of the most seen and popular Best Picture winners and one of the most known Coen Brothers movies. I mean, it's definitely not. I mean, I think Fargo and Big Lebowski and all that. But
I think it's the fact that this movie is rewatchable in the way that, let's keep the comparison going, like There Will Be Blood is not, is because it is so tightly wound and it takes place over a very short period of time. And despite the fact that it might be methodical, it's not necessarily slow. It's a race against time. But the time spent is what matters, and what they're spending their time on is so crucial. Almost on purpose, they're deciding to focus on the coins because of the fact that these people are running for their lives, and at any point Sugar could come through the room. And it's almost like with what Hitchcock said about like, how long can you get away with somebody kissing? Well, it depends. Is there a bomb ticking underneath the table? Because if there is, that kissing can go on for 30 minutes because you know a bomb's about to go off and you're going to be on the edge of your seat at the 29th minute. And it's the same thing with the coins, and the ventilation shaft is like, or the air conditioning shaft is like, yeah, we're going to show the coins because at any point someone's going to come through the door and shoot this guy. And so I think they get away with some of that stuff that we're talking about and that process things because they put the stakes of like a cartel hitman inside of, a Robert Bresson movie. And I just find that to be fascinating and such a good way to construct the two. And then you have all this leftover space where you can fill it with questions of what does this all mean, which is, pretty impactful, but maybe not always comes around the first time because, again, it's just a very fast-paced movie. And it's like, people use this term a lot, but it's like a Swiss watch. It's just so there's not a wasted shot, there's not a wasted moment, there's not a wasted line. I mean, it's sparse in its dialogue on purpose, and so everything that they're saying is all in character, and it's all either based around theme or plot. And so it's just a fun movie to return to because you don't feel like you're getting into, a 2.5 hour movie that you kind of like, or you kind of, I might get bored in the middle. You know that when you turn it on, it's just going to be a race until the end. And those are really fun to rewatch, I think, more than some of these others that we are referencing.
That's good. I agree. That's a good point. I think that's a really good point that like they set the stakes. Like the Hitchcock thing makes a lot of sense. It's like they set the stakes, and that's what makes that adds the tension to a lot of these slower moments, more mundane
Mm-hmm.
moments. All right. Well, anything you want to say before we jump into the categories?
No, let's do it. Let's give the people what they're here for.
All right. Okay. So,
Did you just start? Oh,
yeah.
I looked down. I missed. Wow.
All
I'm
right.
sorry I missed that.
Yeah, that's good. All right. So, favorite scene. How about I go first, then you go
Sure.
first?
Yeah,
Blah
yeah.
blah blah. So
Yeah.
my favorite scene. One reason I want to go first is it kind of goes into what we've been talking about, so it should be an easy segue. My favorite scene is like the shootout in the hotel slash downtown.
That's my favorite scene too.
Well, perfect. We can just
There
talk
you
about it
go. Yeah.
together. So, like we talked about, there's no music. It's all
Mm-hmm.
build up and suspense. Like I love the fact, like, obviously, like when he's like waiting at the door, and
Mm-hmm.
you see like him, like the lights and like him move. You hear the like squeaking in the like you talked about of the floor. What's also interesting is I think like the violence in this movie is so well done because it's very ugly and very unsettling,
Mm-hmm.
but the action is still very engaging, and that's very hard to do because normally it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's like it's either a fun action scene or it's like a contemplative, disturbing burst of violence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if you want to keep in your burp.
Did I burp?
You just made a weird noise when you're having a
Oh,
burp for
did I?
somebody. That's what it
Oh,
sounded like.
my cat was meowing. I think it was that. We can keep all this in. Yeah, my
Yeah,
cat came up and looked at me and was like,
that is
"Wow."
hilarious. All right, well, the cat. Okay.
I didn't hear
Wait,
it. Wow. All right.
that's funny. All right. Well, but yeah, so it's like the violent. I think like the violence is really disturbing, but
Mm-hmm.
normally it's like you can either have one or the other. Either have like disturbing, or you can have like an exciting action scene. But somehow they achieve both, and I love it. And I think it's because they focus so much on the suspense and build up instead
Mm-hmm.
of the violence itself. Like
Mm-hmm.
waiting for the door, turning the lights out, waiting behind the car.
Mm-hmm.
I think because they wait on that, that's what builds it up and that's what makes it exciting. And then the actual like guy getting shot in the pickup truck, that you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, whereas
Mm-hmm.
like in like a I don't know, Sylvester Stallone movie, you're like, oh hell yeah. So like I think that's why it works like that. But I just think that is just an amazing action sequence, and it's so simple, and
Mm-hmm.
yet no, again, it's just all the stuff we've just been talking about the last 10 minutes.
I agree. I think that's definitely the most. I think it's the most prolonged action sequence, aside from him running and then eventually swimming away from the guys at the site
I always feel
towards the
bad for that.
beginning.
I always feel bad for that dog.
I do too.
Just the
But that's
noise it
another.
makes.
Yeah, that's another point though, where like in that scene he has to clean his gun, he has to blow
Yeah,
some of the water out. Like they're very intentional about showing you and that's one of those another one of those moments where it's like I'll get back to the hotel in a minute, but that's another moment where you kind of you really really want him to get that water out of his gun, and you almost do like a double take in your mind where you're like, wait, why is he? Oh, of course you have to get the water out of the gun. Well, I hope it gets. Your mind's
yeah,
working really fast because you're behind what he knows he needs to do,
yeah.
and so you're catching up. And so I think with the hotel sequence, it is the longest. It's the most prolonged, action sequence that they have, and it's I think about midway through the movie, if not right in the middle of the movie. So it fits, and it's really the only climax of the movie in the traditional sense. And it coming in the middle of the movie is intentional. Because we're not going to wait forever and ever and ever for these guys to square off against each other, because it's not really about them finally getting to square off. So let's just, let's make it ugly like you're talking about. Let's make it visceral, but it is exciting because he's jumping out of a window and he's trying to, race across the street, but they're still in the middle of a 1980s, Texas town. So like everyone's asleep, and it's sort of a ghost town, and so that tension of just the two men out in the street, very Western, but I don't know. It's a really exciting way to do something that is pretty pretty low stakes. I mean, it's just a just two dudes in a town,
Yeah.
um, but it's just exciting because it's character, and you want one to get away from the other, and it's just that thing that we've been talking about, which is like keeping it pretty. The stakes don't really change now. The stakes are just okay. Now he's actually in the room, and I got to get out of here. And it crescendos, and then it goes back into it takes kind of a beat where they clean themselves off, and you're going to watch them cleaning themselves off from the violence as much as you're going to have to sit through the violence. It's all sort of one package, which I find interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think that might be the first time we've ever just fully agreed on a moment or
I think it's a
on a
good moment.
category. It is. All right. Favorite shot. You go first.
All right, let's see here. I have my notes on my phone this time. The wide shot of this. So this is specific, but it caught my eye this time, and I figured I'd throw it on there. The wide shot of the small Mexican town when Moss hands the money to the mariachi band and asks for medical assistance.
Hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about? There's like he's sitting on. It's not a Ferris wheel, but he's sitting in the middle of the town, and then there's
Hmm.
like a Ferris wheel or a
Yeah.
church behind him.
Yeah.
That scene, I guess it's like a golden hour and all that kind of stuff, but it's just really pretty. And it stands out in the movie because it's not only set in Mexico, but it's a little bit more colorful. It's a little bit there's the church in the background. It just brings something new to the movie for a moment, and I just this time around it caught my eye. But what about you?
I got two I want to mention. So I think like the one I thought of is like it's in film books, it's on posters, it's so I have to bring it up because I love it, but I also want to pick something a little less obvious, but it's like the pickup truck coming over the hill with the
Yeah, yeah,
lights while chasing Brolin. I think that's even the DVD cover. But it's just an amazing shot. So,
yeah.
funny story. So at the Plaza Theater, also in Atlanta, I got to go to a Q&A with Roger Deakins, and
Hmm.
someone's question was just, "How did you like that shot?" And he just looked at them like they were the dumbest person ever. Like, what do you mean? How do I like the shot? What do you mean? Like, you want me to go through how I lit like every light and every piece of equipment? It was so funny. And his wife was like, "Well, like, what was your mindset?" He's like, "My mindset was Johnny kind of wanted to shoot a car going over, and I had a light." It was so funny. But that's just an amazing shot. And then, but one
Hmm.
I thought of that's a little bit not, not as obvious or whatever is when Chigurh is like shooting up the hotel room, like killing all the guys, the cartel guys, is as he goes into the bathroom, there's this shot where you through the mirror where you see the
Yeah,
guy's hand in the
like
shower.
totally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And it's just like such a
yeah.
perfect little moment, a little
Hmm.
shot just to, prepare you for okay, well he sees that and he's gonna kill the guy and
Hmm.
that guy's lost his element of surprise, which is a really perfect shot.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Uh, so, all right, favorite edit or anything else on shots before we move on? Shots.
No, I mean it's
Oh,
definitely. Hmm.
I do have something more on. You go first, but I have something else I want to say
Okay.
on shots in general in this category.
Okay. I mean, like I said earlier. Hello. It's it's a completely. There's not a shot wasted. I mean, it's like so specifically done, and everything leads to another thing. It's all the. This is really hoity-toity, but like the movie is about process, and the way that they tell this story visually is all a very specific process. There's not too much. I know people don't want to be wasting shots in movies. That's not what I'm saying, but there's a lot of movies you see where it's just like you really could cut this down, and this is the first time, and it will happen again. I promise. I'm not always like the way that you accuse me of being. I don't think this movie's too long. I think this movie is exactly the length it needs to be,
The
specifically because of that. What?
amount of shots doesn't equal time length.
No, I know,
I
but
hate. I'm 100% with you on that one. I like intentionality. Like
yeah.
if you can tell a whole scene in one shot, I think that's the best. I mean,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of these things where it is one or two shots or three shots. I like that. I think that way of is much more elegant and old fashioned.
Well, and
Um,
that's a good way to transition too, because the editing is so singular with the way that each shot is chosen. I mean, this is like describing how film is made, but in this way, it's a very good.
film school 101.
Exactly.
Uh,
Um, Yeah, I mean, it's just that the editing with this is just perfect because they choose the shots and then they're also editing it, even though it's not under their name. They're editors, and it comes together in a way that most movies I don't think do.
Yeah, I agree. Right before we move with favorite edit, the one last thing I want to say about the favorite shot. This movie is just, I mean, you just said it, but like in general, it's just like an amazingly shot movie. Like every
Hmm.
shot looks awesome. And funny enough, that's one of the Oscars that they didn't win. It was the best cinematography.
That's so weird. Yeah, it
That's
took
one of the
them
ones that
forever.
that's one of the ones that There Will Be Blood won. Yeah, obviously Roger Deakins, goat. We're buddies. I asked him a question. I don't want to brag,
You
but
asked him a question.
I asked him a question at the Q&A,
He
and
asked me a question once.
oh, did he? Was he like, is this movie too long? And you were like, yeah.
Yeah, I impersonated his British accent to his face,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
Uh,
asked him to go get me a Slurpee.
yeah. And he's
So,
like, sure thing. All right. Favorite edit. Okay, so this one I go first. I cutting so in the scene with Carla Jean when he's clearly gonna kill her,
hmm
and he's like, call it. The the decision to cut out of that scene without showing what happens and cutting to the white of the house where Trigger comes out of the house and then looks at his feet, check his shoes.
hmm
Amazing. That is so
hmm
much more impactful than just straight up showing him shooting her in the face or something. Like it's
hmm
like the minute I like so I saw it I didn't see it at the plaza so but I saw it once in for a rep screening and I remember like sitting in front of people that had clearly never seen it before like they were like younger and the minute he pulled up his shoe the girl in front of me that hadn't seen it she goes oh no and it's like it's literally like that you don't get that you don't get that reaction when you just like it's still like oh my God he killed her but it's like you kind of know it's happening anyways
Yeah.
but then it's like the fact that it cuts away and it almost
hmm
like they almost like give you that like hope like oh maybe
hmm
and then you like it's that's just the decision to cut to that and reveal it that way is brilliant.
I agree. I think nobody made a noise like that in the theater, but you kind of every time you're just like in your gut, you're like, man,
Yeah.
that stinks. That's how everyone reacts. Damn,
Yeah, when someone dies, dang, that stings.
God, I really liked her. Okay.
That's what they say at the funeral when they're looking over a dead body. God, I really liked her.
That's
What's
what
her?
every medical examiner says.
Yeah, what's her?
Damn, seems
Darn.
nice.
Yeah.
So favorite editing for me is when he is well, okay, I had one at the beginning that I wrote down, so I technically have two. I will shout out the first one because I think there's actually one I like more. There's a sequence in where there's thousands of sequences in this movie, but there's one where he's seeing where the money went to, and he says, if I stopped, I stopped in shade." And so it cuts to him squatting in the middle of the field, and he's looking down at the tree, and you see two what are apparently we learned are boots sticking up. So somebody's like sitting down, and then he looks in his. It cuts back to him. He pulls up his binoculars. It cuts back. It's closer. Then you actually see the guy against the tree. Then it cuts back to him, and it's closer on him. And then he's thinking about it. So it's very much like linking back and forth as it's almost like the way you're thought, we're seeing visually him piecing what happened together, which is just fantastic. Very bare knuckle way to, not bare knuckle, but,
It's
bear
it's
down.
it's very similar to the shot in Jaws right before the kid gets killed and like when it's
Hmm.
cutting back and forth
Yes.
every time one person goes past
Yeah.
Brody, it gets closer. It's a very similar idea.
It's just a good way to just tell a story and the way someone is, piecing something together. And then for me, though, I decided on the chicken crates edit.
Mhm.
That is just, it's like almost a laugh line when he's like, dude, can
Yeah.
you get the chicken crates out here? And it cuts to him cleaning the car.
Well, yeah, yeah. Why would I do that? And because I'm cleaning the car. Yeah, it's
You're
pretty
like,
funny.
oh, God. To
Yeah,
me, that's worse than Carla Jean because I'm just like, that poor guy.
yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, it's kind of
Um,
fun. It's kind of funny that both of that's the thing that is that both of our cuts are like, and I think that like it's implying the violence.
right.
I think what makes this movie with a good like I think if the whole movie was just that, it might
Hmm.
feel like a little like we talked about like the Odyssey, where it's like a movie about violence that doesn't show, but it's like the fact that they don't shy away from. There's some really gory scenes in this movie, but then they
Hmm.
also have moments like that. I just think that combination
Mm-hmm.
it makes the impact of both types of ways of exploring that work really well when they're kind of juxtaposed with each other in different settings. Um, so yeah, it's interesting.
I agree. I think the I don't know. To me, this time around, I was just really paying attention to that. I mean, every time, that's the great thing about rewatching movies as you get older. You're just, I think, able to take more in. And also with rewatches, you can kind of like, okay, I know the story. Now I want to look at how it's told. For me, I always do that with a movie that I don't quite kind of get on board with. We talked about that with the Odyssey, where I was just like, I really need to see this again because I really need to know how it kind of is pieced together. So it's really fun to watch a movie like this, which is very, it's the best, top of the line people doing it, but in such a, it sounds like a rude thing to say, but like it's a very film school 101 way to make a movie. It's just like shot, shot. Like it's, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, it's so simple. They make
Hmm.
it seem so simple, but I know that it's all based on intentionality, which is only, you really only get that through understanding how exactly you want it done, which is comes with practice. So
Yeah,
I guess they make it look easy is
yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
I'll just edit it to where you just say they make it look easy. That's it. No,
That's all
no,
I say throughout the entire podcast.
yeah, no, I agree, and I think I like that. Like I like that kind of filmmaking. Like to me, it's one like obviously these like really like muscular camera moves and shots and stuff. I love that stuff too. But like to me, like watching something like this, or even like we talked about with the Master how like PTA had kind of moved on from muscle camera moves to more like elegant like simpler stuff. Like I just love like the to me, there's a craftsmanship in being able to do it simply,
Hmm.
and um, I certainly think the Coen brothers. Roger Deakins said a favorite. This is not in our private conversation, me and my buddy Deakins, but
Hmm.
uh, he said that when he first worked with the Coen brothers, they would literally only shoot what they knew they were going to use in the cut. So like
Hmm.
normally if it's like a shot reverse shot, you film the whole scene from one angle and then you film the whole scene from the other angle and you find it in the edit. But
Hmm.
what they would do would be like, oh, we know like let's say like if for example if the lines like they can that's like if I don't come back, tell mother I love her. Let's say
Hmm.
like they knew when he says, "If I don't come back, we're on Carla Jean." So we won't even shoot that. We're just going to shoot him say, "Tell mother
Hmm.
I love," and that's like a that's kind of that's a like extreme. Apparently, they've kind of grown out of that a little bit. But that just kind of shows like they really, even though it looks simple, it's like they know exactly what they want. And it's like
Hmm.
really put together.
Yeah,
And
I think
I respect that. I mean,
I think
I
though.
I do I don't do it that extreme, but like that's kind of how I shoot things. Is like I'm like I know like I don't shoot a ton of coverage, and I just so I always when I watch a movie and I'm like, oh, they did that in 3 shots. That's always like
Hmm.
to me that's the sweet spot. It's like realistically, most scenes you're gonna need more than one shot, but like
Hmm.
3 shots is like the sweet spot, and I feel like they
Yeah,
hit that.
to me though, I think it depends on the story you're telling. So, for instance, this is about a process. Um, it's a very sparse movie in most ways and most things that it's about. So the way that they make it is um, pretty pretty simple. I mean, that's not the word I want to use, but it's the only word that I can think of that really takes into account the way that they're piecing this movie together. But for instance, if you're looking at Boogie Nights, if this movie, if Boogie Nights were made like this, it wouldn't carry the same energy. So you really need
Yeah.
to match the way that the story you're telling with the way you make the movie. And I think this movie works because of the way that they're making
Oh,
it.
absolutely. Story always dictates style for sure,
Mm-hmm.
100%. It's just it's the same. It's the exact reason why, even though it's still Scorsese's, Silence isn't shot like Goodfellas.
Yeah,
That would be wild.
that would be weird.
But yeah. But I think it's interesting
Did I
because
tell you my silent story?
no,
So I was in college and
I so badly want to move my camera and show my Silence poster that's right to my right, but I don't want anyone to see my unmade bed.
I mean, we all want to see your unmade bed. What? No,
That's okay. Silence.
I uh, I was in college when that movie came out, and I was working at a movie theater, so I could get in for free and I could bring some friends. So we all went and saw Silence, and it was my choice to go to Silence. And I didn't know, I knew what it was about. I'd seen the trailer, but I didn't know quite what I was getting into. And so we all went, and like, we're dudes in our 20s or 19 or whatever, and we're showing up, and it's not a movie you bring a bunch of friends to and have a laugh riot. And so they're sitting there for like I think that movie's at least like 2.5
That's
hours.
yeah. It's like 2:47, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. And they were both bored or both, but they were bored, but they were like trying to enjoy it, but they were like, what the fuck did they get me into? Because it's not like La La Land was out at the same time, and La La Land was one where it was like that would be fun to take a bunch of friends to, not
Yeah.
Silence. And so the whole time I'm sitting there like, this is a bad idea. You guys can go if you want to. I'll just stay. It's okay. It was so weird, but I still like that movie. So
I love that movie. That's in my top five Scorsese for sure.
mm,
Um, Great movie, Scorsese Silence. Next week. Yeah. Anyways, all right. Favorite moment.
mm.
You
Did
gotta
you go
pick one.
first or?
I believe I went first last time.
Uh, for me, it was Sugar goes to the trailer and talks to the lady. I love that scene. I say we can't give out no information like once a week in my head for no reason. I just love her.
You said it about once a week at Holland and Sherry, so and not in your head. I hear that a lot. And then I would do another Coen Brothers character that we'll get to at some
Do you
point.
want to do? Do you want to do your other Coen Brothers character?
Rooster cross call boy. I don't know. Oh, we gotta do. I gotta remember. I can't. I'm not prepared. I'll do it at some point.
Well, it's just you saying True Grit.
Oh
That's
yeah,
all you ever
yeah.
did.
True grit. I got true grit.
He never says True Grit in the
I've
movie.
got true grit. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I could.
Well,
Yeah,
that sounds like Sling Blade saying True Grit.
they're the same.
Okay.
So I got my favorite. All of my favorite moments were like lines. Like I love the if I don't come back, tell my mother I love her. She's like, your mother's dead. Well, I'll tell her myself. And then like,
Hmm.
did I say you could sit? No, but you strike me as a man who wouldn't want to waste his chair.
That's such a weird
So
quote.
good. And
I
then
love Woody Harrelson.
and then also when he's like they find like the milk or whatever, and he's like, we gotta circulate. Well, we circulate and look for a man who's recently drunk milk. Yeah. Of course, like the tent poles thing we already talked about. I love that every single person on the crime that walks on the crime scene comments on the dead dog. So then at one point when it's the two cartel guys and he's like, "That's a dead dog," and Antoine Sugar's like, "Yes, it is."
Yeah. Oh, poor
So
dog.
funny. And then the only other one I have that's not like kind of a funny moment or like is I love the decision to have the kids help him after the car crash because I think
Hmm.
it's like a subtle choice, but it really kind of continues the theme of like, okay, here's the youth helping the devil, and it's just gonna
Hmm.
keep going and going. And this evil change is just pushing
Well,
them
and
on
they
through.
immediately start fighting over the money too, which
Yeah,
is
that's
just
it.
so
Yeah,
on the nose, but like perfect way to just be like, it's my shirt.
yeah. And what's funny is like you kind of see it earlier with the like college guys when it's like when he's like
Hmm.
when he's like I'll give you $500 for that jet for your jacket and then it's like give me the beer he's like how much and then the guy's like give him the beer.
That has some of my favorite sounds. The sound of his boots walking across that bridge is, I think, my favorite sound. Like, I know that we don't have a favorite sound category, but if we did, that would be my favorite sound.
Sweet. I just don't think I think there's too many movies where that would be really hard to figure
That
out.
would be
So
really hard. That would just be
also
music.
I like how we're on episode 3 and we've already dropped like half the categories.
We'll find others. It's okay.
I have a Blu-ray of this. We're not going to talk about it. That was a stupid thing. All right. Anyways, there's a great Coen Brothers Criterion of No Country for Old Men if you want to check it out. Anyways,
Mm,
all right. Favorite performance. I go first.
okay.
I think obviously Javier Bardem is the obvious choice. He
Hmm.
won the Oscar for it. He's incredible. It's one of the greatest villains of all time in cinematic history. But that's just like too easy and kind of boring of a choice. So I'm going with Tommy Lee Jones. I honestly think he owns this film. Like I think
Hmm.
obviously it's what I talked about with The Master. It's harder to play the straight guy. Of course, that one I didn't pick the straight guy. I picked Freddie. But like Tommy Lee Jones is the titular old man. Like
Hmm.
he shoulders kind of the weight of the film while Bardem's like going around having fun. Like playing like the guy with the evil mustache. So I just think Tommy Lee Jones is incredible. But I think the whole movie. It's one of those few movies where like I just don't think there's not really a bad note by the actors. I really like every performance. I think even like um I forgot her name, Carla Jean. Like that's again like it's not necessarily like it's kind of a thankless role. Like she's not given that mood. I think she does a really good job in that performance. I think especially she gets the accent down really right.
Hmm.
Like I just think everybody in the movie is awesome. Obviously, Brolin is incredible in it, and this pretty much, made him a star.
Hmm.
He'd always been struggling, working off and on since he was a child actor, but like this was when he was like, okay, he's now a big
Hmm.
star. But still, ultimately, I just think like Tommy Lee Jones, he opens the movie. I think all the quotes at the beginning of the movie, like the voiceover by him is really good, and then of course the ending and everything, so he has the bookends of the movie, and all like the really big scenes that deal with the themes of the film are his scenes. So I love that like scene where he's talking with the other cop, and like the cop's like talking about the big bald pink hair or green hair or whatever and the bones, and it's like,
Hmm.
again, it's just like kind
It's
of,
the dismal pad.
yeah, yeah, it's like it again, like that's all. I mean, that really is where thematically what the movie's about, and it is kind of, it is
Hmm.
funny, but yeah, I
I
so
hear. I think once quit hearing "sir" and "man," the rest soon to far.
yeah, which is, again, that's it perfectly captures the movie though.
Hmm.
Um, and just while I'm saying this, I might as well bring this up for for a weird reason. When I was a little kid, I considered Tommy Lee Jones my favorite actor
Wow.
because Men in Black and Batman Forever came out around the
Mm.
same time, and I loved Men in Black as a kid. And Men in Black was like the only PG-13 movie. Well, no, my parents let me see Jurassic Park and Raiders, or no, Raiders wasn't PG-13, but Jurassic Park was. But
I didn't know that.
Jurassic Park, but I love Men in Black and I love Batman Forever. So he was Two-Face and in Men in Black, and he was like one of the only actors I knew. So like I was like a 9-year-old kid. Like I loved Tommy Lee Jones. So,
It's a
but
super normal thing to
he's an
love
amazing,
at 9 years old.
yeah, he's an amazing actor though.
He is,
Um,
yeah.
and he was, Al Gore's roommate at University of Texas. So maybe that's why he's like, we gotta make this about what's going on in the world. Anyways, all right. What about you?
I also have Tommy Lee Jones. I almost put Brolin, but I think, with all due respect to Mr. Brolin, I do think that this is a
I
little.
also saw him live at the Plaza, which is pretty cool.
That's cool. What was it for?
Weapons at the Atlanta Film
Oh,
Festival.
nice,
And
nice.
he when he talked about this movie, he said that Joel and Ethan Coen are so quiet on set, and then before takes, they just kind of like to sit in their seats and not say anything, and that it would drive him insane. So he would like start talking to them about like movie ideas, and then he said like Ethan would like kind of like be like, oh yeah, yeah, and like Joel just like get up and leave. Like, what if we did a movie? And they're like, and then Joel just would leave.
It kind of fits though, because if you think about it, like they know what they want, so they're not really there to like have fun. They're there to be
Yeah,
like, we're here to make a movie that we want. We know
yeah.
what we want. Yeah.
I think it's funny that it's like Joel's the one that's like I can't do this and leave, and Ethan's like the one like humoring him. When you
Yeah.
consider like when they split up, Ethan makes these goofy little comedy movies, and then Joel
Hmm.
makes Macbeth.
Hmm. You think they're gonna get back together?
There's rumors, but I don't know.
There's been
Joel's
rumors.
got another movie coming out next year that I'm interested in, but
Hmm.
I hope so.
Hmm.
I really do. It's a very sad thing that they're not no longer
Hmm.
together because I'm gonna be honest, I did not like either one of the Ethan Coen's movies, and
Yeah.
Macbeth was fine. I mean, but it's
I mean, I think it shows. It's almost like a fun test to be like, okay, now we know what the other brought, because the one brings weight, the other brings levity, and they do kind of need each other a little bit.
yeah,
I think.
yeah. I mean, I think yeah. I mean, I just to me like the Honey Don't and all those driveway dolls, whatever. Those like almost felt like someone like trying too hard to like make a Coen Brothers esque movie, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know. It just feels like okay. I guess they really do need each other, but
Hmm.
because then, like I said, I mean, Macbeth's hard to tell because it's literally just an adaptation of Macbeth, but um, which is I think was definitely the best of the bunch, but it still wasn't like I'm not firing it up and rewatching it.
Hmm.
So
But yeah, back to so Tommy Lee Jones for me. I do really like Brolin, but I do think wasn't Guy Pearce that almost was cast at one point.
I think so.
Um, but
Yeah.
the thing is with
Also,
that,
did you know that Mark
hmm,
Strong was
no, it
cast?
was Heath Ledger. Sorry.
No, no. Oh, yeah, yeah. Mark Strong was cast as Sugar in case like Javier Bardem at one point might have had to back out, and so
Mm,
they had Mark Strong on like standby for a couple weeks.
I couldn't do it. That'd
That's
been weird.
no offense to him, but that sounds awful.
It wouldn't have worked. I think he has too much. He couldn't have pulled off some of the flat like delivery. There's a flatness to Sugar.
Yeah,
He's described in the book as having no sense of humor. So it's I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I think it may. I mean, I just also think it makes a lot of sense since it's like the Mexican cartel to have someone who's not a white guy. Like
It's
Mark
true.
Strongman's
That's
a white,
true.
yeah. Unless he was just gonna play with brown face, which is possible. But um,
I don't think he's going to do that. I think he would have.
I mean,
They would have changed it
in
to like.
2007, maybe. Oh.
Hope
Not
not.
like actual physical brown face, but just like yeah, he's dark enough and dark enough.
I think they would have just changed it to like we contracted out to like Iceland or something.
Probably. Who knows?
So Tommy Lee Jones, I do agree with what you're saying. I think that he brings a weight. I think he's also just he has not only the best like monumental lines about the theme, but he also just he brings a certain like the other guys really don't feel. I mean, one is quite literally not from Texas, but Brolin like okay, I kind of buy it, kind of don't. But Tommy Lee Jones is like you feel like he's been that sheriff for that many years and he grew up with it and it's just he just sort of sits in that chair and
He's from
you buy
Minnesota.
it.
Also, no, I'm just kidding. He's from Minnesota.
Yeah, he's from Texas. He actually, by the way, knew Tormac McCarthy. They were very good friends.
Well,
So I think he's a big part of this movie.
that's a crazy blunt rotation. Them and Al Gore.
Yeah, they were all up to some stuff. No, but I think he's really excellent in this movie for he's the one of the few who like gets to just I don't know, just live in the space. Like he doesn't he doesn't need anything. He doesn't really want for anything except to do a good job. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate what he brings, which is just an authenticity to the movie that otherwise would feel a little fabricated. But with him, I just buy into it a little bit more, which is important because you need that narrator. I mean, it opens with his monologue. Even in the book, it's first person, and then it switches to third for the other guys. So you kind of do need that authenticity a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah, I completely agree. While we're on the same page for two of them, you might actually get some votes for who wins the podcast this time.
Do you? Well, so I wanted to ask a question. We're doing favorite quote, right? Because I have something really specific. Okay, I'll save it then. It's about Tommy Lee Jones, but I'll save it. But let's do.
Okay, well, if that's the case, you want to go and do your favorite quote now?
Yeah, because it's a bit of a description. It's a quote that also follows. Like it's. Let me try and. Can you hear that? It's my cat.
I can't hear the cat this time.
Okay, she's freaking out. Okay, so in the scene where him and Carla Jean sit down at the cafe and he's telling the story about I can't remember his name, but he can't pick up his right hand to put his hat on. Do you remember that scene when
yeah.
So this is like I'm gonna lose the thread, so bear with me because I really want to try and get this out. So
I'm gonna sit back for it.
Okay. So I'm gonna read what I wrote and see if that helps. The scene where Bell tells Carla Jean the story about the man who shot himself with a gun. He says the point is that even when it comes to man versus steer, the issue is not certain. He then, quote, rambles about how they kill steer differently these days and use an air gun with a bolt, the exact tool that Sugar uses to kill his victims. It ties together the idea that he and Moss are the steer and Sugar is putting them down despite their thrashing. That scene sums the whole movie in a subtle way. So he starts rambling about the very thing that Sugar is using. And he's kind of like, yeah, they do things differently nowadays. They use this bolt. And it caught me this time. I've never understood that scene and the rambling, but I was like, there's got to be a point to it. And it hit me that I think it is about like, even the bad guys now are changing the way that they do things. And he can't keep up because like they can't trace where the bullet is. They don't understand. And I don't think Ed Tom realizes that he's describing exactly what's going on because as he says, he feels overmatched. And it's just such an interesting way for him to still be the smartest guy in the room, but he's losing his grasp on how they're doing things. And now even more than, well, we learn later that this has always been the case, but it feels like these guys are treating people like Sugar are treating people like Moss and Bell like cattle. Like it's just, I just need my money. I don't care about their families. I don't care about their, Sugar kills Carla Jean. Like there's that scene is so emblematic of just like, I don't understand what's going on anymore. I don't, things just change and I don't know. It's just, I don't really have more of a point. It's just such an interesting way that scene sort of ties together the whole movie. And I like that it comes from him, quote, rambling. It's just, he even says like, I just, my mind wanders. But it's still his mind is on change, and passing of time. So I find that interesting.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's also interesting because you could also interpret it on the flip side as like the kind of well, it's funny because I quoted this last episode, the Lords of Arabia. It is written, nothing is written. Is like him saying that, like, even between man and steer, nothing's for certain. Is like you
Hmm.
could is like everyone keeps talking about how Sugar is like certain, like he's like it's gonna happen, like he's gonna
Hmm.
come, he's inevitable. But it's almost like you could also interpret it as like almost like a moment of hope, like
Hmm.
in this, like, well, actually, even he's not inevitable,
That's true.
even though in the movie, in the story, he is.
Right.
But yeah, which actually kind of perfectly dovetails into my quote. So,
I
um,
have some more quotes I want to throw out, but you go ahead.
okay, yeah, well, I'll go just because it's kind of on the same
Go for it.
mindset that I'm going. So my favorite quote's from Ellis, the old guy the like retired guy that he visits. That I guess he
Hmm.
was his dad's deputy. I
I think
think
so.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and because of that, he's essentially like kind of like a family friend who
Hmm.
also was in law enforcement. So, but my quote, and I feel like I'm doing this a lot where I'm picking quotes that like I feel like perfectly capture the whole movie. But he's like, "What you got ain't nothing new. This country's hard on people. You can't stop what's coming. It ain't all waiting on you. That's vanity." And
Hmm.
it's like, first of all, it's like nothing new, as in like people have always changed, have always struggled with change forever. Is
Hmm.
like this idea of like I'm getting old, the world's moving past me. Like
Hmm.
that's not unique. That's something everybody deals with. That's something that's everyone has dealt with and everyone's going to deal with. So it's like you're not special. But it's also, to me, kind of like, again, it's like similar to what I just said about the other one. Your quote is like you can almost interpret it in an almost somewhat optimistic way, because it's kind of like similar to like the Trojan horse thing we were talking about last week. Like, well, everybody, like, all right, Odyssey or Odysseus, everyone's been doing these evil things before the Trojan
Hmm.
horse.
Hmm.
Like that's his vanity. Like it's like it feels like you're dealing with like a new kind of evil, but like like you're actually not. Like he just tells a
Hmm.
story about their uncle who gets killed in this horrible way for no reason, and it's
Hmm.
like you could, and it's like they're evil. This like horrible evil has always existed, and it's kind of like the idea like every generation thinks they are living in the apocalypse, and like one generation's eventually gonna be right, but like it doesn't have to be ours. And it's like, but like even thinking like always every generation thinking like it's the end of the world, like that in itself is a vanity, and it's
Hmm.
like obviously it's a very dark view of the world, is that like this evil's always existed, and I think it's a realistic view of the world, but that's besides the point. But in a while it's almost also kind of optimistic, because it's like, well, things seem terrible right now, but they've always been terrible and we've still managed to get through, so maybe
Hmm.
we can get through. So I don't know. I feel like I just think that's interesting, because I think it's an interesting enough quote that you can look at it both ways, and in a
Hmm.
way captures the whole movie. And in that way, it's one reason why like I love this movie so much, is that it is very blunt on the darkness of in this change, and but it's also kind of like it is like, well, this is just how the world is, and that sucks. But it's also
Hmm.
like other, your ancestors dealt with a lot of the same stuff. It may have had a different face, but it wasn't it was like the whole, which I'll get into on the next chapter or the next one. But we skipped artistic choice, I just realized.
Okay.
Which we'll do next, because I'll get into that. But anyways, so yeah, that's kind of my thought.
I like that. I think that it definitely feels that way, where it's both, it's scary, but it's also like, it's kind of like when you're like, oh, I'm having a bad day. It's like, well, yeah, man, like, so are a lot of people. Like, calm down. Like, it's
Yeah,
like you kind of have to get a little perspective and a little bit of like history onyx with the way that you approach life. Like, it's gonna be okay. And you
yeah,
got air conditioning, and until like this mid 50s to 60s, we didn't have that. So calm down.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and then so I want to throw out some quotes, and then I'll hit you with the one that I think is my favorite. These are just like throwaways, but I'm looking for Llewellyn Moss. I also would say that a lot. That's why I love that scene, because we're looking for Llewellyn Moss. Did you go to his trailer? Yes. Well, then I'd say he's not here. Where does he work? I can't give out no information. Okay. I just really like that lady. Then when he asks him, what do you think he did? Went digging around there with a pocket knife?
Yeah, that's good.
And then I wrote down that, and then it's got two double beds. I
Yeah,
just
that's
love
good.
that
That
one.
is good.
And then you pointed out kind with the most poles. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, And then there's one the when he asks,
That might be like my favorite joke in the whole movie.
it's such a good one. I love it. Can't give out no information. Um, and then I like the okay. I'm almost there. If the rule that you followed led you to this, then of what use was the rule? Which is you really can only appreciate it as you get older. Because when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know, what was the use of the rule? What do you mean? What rule are you talking about? And now I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, that's
And
a good one.
then my favorite, and this is I'll wrap up the list with this one, but towards the end of his monologue, he says, "And in the dream, I knew that he was going on ahead, and he was fixing to make a fire somewhere out there, and all that dark and all that cold, and I knew that whenever I got there, he would be there." And then I woke up, and I think that it sort of buttons, geez, it sort of just hits that final nail on the head of just like this what we're talking about of change and the theme of like it ain't nothing new and whatever you think is new. I mean, the very idea of this movie being it's kind of funny. This movie's kind of a vanity project because it's a movie about change and oh, we can't handle it. And the guy says, no, it's just this is life. Like, calm
Yeah,
down. I like that at the very end, it's like we still have something out there that we can't see yet that we're going to get to, and it's when this is all over it'll be okay is kind of what I feel like it is my
yeah,
dad my be it your dad or your grandmother or whatever you want to see out there, like that person's going to be out there waiting for you, and it'll be okay. I just like that it doesn't. I think a lot of people got upset because it's said with such flatness, and it is a dark movie, but I think that there's a bit of hope to it, even if it's like, yeah, it's cold and it's dark, but there'll be a fire and you'll be fine. Like
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's the Coen's best attempt at like, it's okay, buddy. It's all right.
yeah.
It's not great, but it'll be okay. So,
um, that's interesting. I just, for the record, I do think that I don't think people were mad by the monologue. I think they were just mad that it ended right then and there, just randomly, and there wasn't like a fight at the end or something.
maybe.
But it's funny. I'm glad we mixed up because my favorite artistic choice directly is revolved in that.
Oh, good.
Which
Okay, let's
so
do that.
yeah, my favorite artistic choice is just is sticking to the ballsy ending. It's like just doing it
Yeah.
and like having and it's so like my interpretation of it is a little bit. I like your interpretation. I think there's some truth to that. But when I think about the fact that it cuts to black after he says, "Then I woke up," I kind of
Hmm.
looked at it as like he opens the movie talking about the old timers and how he always wished he could be an old timer, and then he has this dream about being an old timer, and he's like this
Hmm.
heroic Western hero with his father, and it's like that was like not just his dream literally that night, but that was his dream figuratively. Like that was always his
Hmm.
dream is to be this old Western hero, and he realizes that he was never that old Western hero and that life is a lot more complicated than that. It's not
Hmm.
just this old West of like the guy in the white hat's good, the guy in the black hat's bad. And now he's woken up to it literally and figuratively. He's now a grown man filled with regret and confusion. And so he no longer has that dream and no longer thinks that dream
Hmm.
is
Never.
necessary. So
Yeah,
that,
I've never looked at it that way. I see where you're going with that. I like that.
yeah. And so he is, the titular old man, which the country's not for. So I don't know. I like that, but I think both are valid, and I think you can also appreciate the movie with equally with both, like enjoying, like acknowledging both potential possibilities. Because
Yeah.
I really do, and again, and maybe that's just like I don't know, but I really do think there's a little bit more optimism in this dark movie than people realize. So I like the way
Hmm.
that you said that because I just every time he says that's vanity, that the line, my favorite quote, that's what I always think of. Is it is kind of like just get over yourself. Like it sucks, but
Yeah.
it's like your grandpa fought in Vietnam, your great grandpa fought in World War II. Like everyone's got to deal with it. Like it sucks.
Yeah.
Like life sucks. Like it's hard, you know.
Hmm.
But anyways, but yeah. But I love that they stuck. Like the ending, I think is just so perfect, and I think it ultimately makes them. As much as it pissed some people off at the time being, I think that's what makes them part of like I think if the movie just had a traditional third act, I don't know if we'd be talking about it in the same way we are right now. Like I think we'd still be like, oh, it's a really good movie, and like they did a really good job making a cool Bresson-esque, you know,
Hmm.
chasing movie. But like I think the fact that the third act kind of pulls the rug out from underneath you and does what it does, I think is awesome. And I think the
Hmm.
fact they stuck with it and they got rewarded for it. They won Best Picture, won Best Director, and the movie is one of their most known films, and it's in pop culture. So. It's definitely one of the most culturally known Best Picture winners. So that's kind of like, I guess, the ultimate. I mean, the ultimate win if you're making a movie,
Hmm.
I guess. So yeah. What about you?
I agree. Artistic choice. I mean, I pretty much said it a few different ways. I just think that the intentionality behind making a movie about process and almost showing us the process of how to piece together a movie
It's so
editing
funny.
wise.
It's so funny. We've been talking all about process, and the audience doesn't know this, but we toiled with the idea of this podcast being called The Process or
Hmm.
Processing Cinema or something in regards
Hmm.
to the processing scene of the master. So it's funny.
Yeah.
But anyways,
We went
yeah,
with the cost, which is fine.
yeah. Which
I
yeah,
mean, it's amazing. What are you talking about? It's
we have with
amazing
the
one.
Cause Cult Movies podcast. But yeah,
Exactly.
I just
But
interrupted you. What were we going with? Process. I mean, you've already talked about all that. I'm just gonna get into.
you don't need to waste your breath.
Yeah,
We get
yeah,
it.
yeah. What were you saying though?
Uh, no, I find that to be my favorite. So,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Uh,
we're
yeah.
keeping this in.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Processing. But yeah, it's a film about process.
Mm-hmm. And
All
it took a
right.
process to get to the end of this
That's true.
category.
All right. I'm lost. So
That's okay. You'll find your way.
yeah, that's our next category. Yeah, so for the record, I also had one person say, your I am lost section for the Odyssey. Did you not watch the movie? I've seen it 4 times, motherfucker.
You got to stop coming after people. You'll be okay.
No, I'm coming after people.
Okay. Well, I'm the other side of this, which is like that's cool that you want to use your time to comment on YouTube videos. Have fun.
Yeah, cool.
No, we welcome all comments. We want people to be happy.
Yeah, I'm teasing, guys. Obviously, I want comments.
He's not teasing. I'm teasing.
All
When I
right.
say that I'm not taking it seriously, I'm really teasing.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
seething
He's
underneath.
taking so serious. All right. I don't have a whole lot on I'm Lost because this movie is awesome. But and some of these are more like just because we have the category, so I want to fill it out. None of these are questions bother me that much, but
Oh, there's some. I have some bothering.
it's worth. So they gave other Mex. So he kills the first group of cartel guys that had a tracker,
Hmm.
but then they gave other Mexicans a tracker, and those Mexicans know to follow Carla Jean. Why? I'm not sure.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay, we're on the same
I've
page with
yeah
that.
yeah yeah.
It's
It's
so
on
funny
there.
because like watching the movie for the first time, where I'm like, I want to like really pay attention to what every beat because I'm about to talk about it on a podcast for 2 hours. Has made me finally realize like, wait, this doesn't actually make sense, and
So I
I
will.
don't think it's ever bothered me in the whole. But I'm like, and so because it's never bothered me, I guess it's not that big a deal. But I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. I'm what?
When you're tasked with what we're doing, which is like looking for things that are confused, like plot holes and things, I agree that you start noticing, being like, wait, my thing has always been, and it's what you're saying, which is I just wrote down what's really going on with the cartel and that large business. Like the missing floor
Yeah.
and like what is happening?
I'm assuming the missing floor is like hinted at, like there's a secret floor, like which is
Yeah,
where
there's
like
a see there
the illegal stuff
there's a
happens.
business inside of the business. Like
Yeah.
there's something going on and they're funneling money through the cartel and it's I get it
And
on the
they
surface, but
don't like
like
to waste their chairs.
they don't like to waste their chairs. But then so apparently in the book there is some more stuff about the cartel, and I don't think that the Coens were as interested in that, which is fine. Especially if it's a POV question of like, well, Anton, even though he works for them, clearly does not care. He just wants money. We don't know why,
Yeah.
but
Well, so that was kind of my question though, is like, is he giving them the head before he decides to kill the head or whatever? Is he giving them information on how his like
like who called
investigation
him?
is coming along? And the reason I asked that is like, if he's not, how would they know to follow Carla Jean? Like
Right.
it makes sense if like I guess before he decides he's gonna kill them and is mad about them getting a tracker also, they're like he's been telling them like, oh, Llewellyn has it, and then they know to tell these people look up Llewellyn's wife or something. Like I guess
Yeah,
that, but it's just a little odd.
I agree. It's odd, and it's the one of the parts of the movie. Again, this is one of those things where I hope we don't run into too often, where a lot of these movies feel like the women are inconsequential. Um, but
Yeah, just cut out Carla Jean. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
well, to be honest, the inclusion of the mom is the one like okay, we don't really like I
You know how many people I know in El Paso?
that's how many. I do love that actress though. She's great. She's in Donnie
Yeah,
Darko.
I
She's
love.
amazing.
I don't. Those scenes don't bother me. I like those scenes.
They're
But
fine. I just feel like it's a little bit of like if you're not going to tell us what's going on with the cartel, then what exactly are the stakes with Carla Jean? And like I don't know. I'm with you that I just don't quite understand how it all pieces together for a movie about process. They really lost the thread on that one.
And then my other one, which is a bigger one as far as like the theme of the movie, but
Mm-hmm.
so, and I think I know the answer to this, but I think it's worth talking about. Does not seeing Llewellyn's death on screen actually make a big enough impact on the film that it's worth
Sure.
withholding that scene from the audience? Because obviously, if you show that scene to the audience, like that's what you would traditionally do, and it would probably be like this shootout or whatever, and probably help
Mm-hmm.
give the movie more of a traditional climax. But is holding it back, is the impact that has, is that impact so great that it's worth not giving the audience what they want, um, in that regard?
Mm, I think now I appreciate it more, but when I was younger, I mean, they included the scene where he goes to see him in the morgue, and I just
Yeah.
didn't even take that in enough because I was just young and wasn't paying attention enough, I guess. But so it just went over my head that that was supposed to be Moss. I just didn't get it. And so as I get older, I'm like, I appreciate it. Let's just not worry about that. Beer leads to more beer, and then it's
Yeah.
over. Like that's. But my question is like, was it supposed to be that he did decide to cheat on Carla Jean and sleep with that woman and like he let his guard down that way? Because that's the
So
idea, but it's weird.
I, so the thing, I mean, I think so. I think whether he's ends up going to cheat on her or he's just drinking beer and,
Mm-hmm.
you got a pretty girl who's willing to drink beer with you, whatever. I think that is the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but, because like why they didn't show it, and I think that's part of it is like it's like that's like the move to basically be like, all right, like he is inconsequential, he's not important, like it is
Mm-hmm.
like it was inevitable. But what's funny is again because I kind of forgot about the other cartel thing. I always in my mind was like I love it because the whole idea is like saying that uh like Pardim is inevitable, and so then it's like we don't even need to see the scene. But then I remembered she's not the one who kills him, so
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like, wait a minute, that interpretation doesn't work. So then I was sitting there like, do they like But I mean, it definitely sets the tone. It sets the tone for the last act of the movie to be different and for it to
Mm-hmm.
be more contemplative. And so it works. I'm not saying it's a bad decision or anything. I am like I guess because in my head for so long, the reason that I thought it was so great, I realized doesn't make sense. So now I'm like kind of like I'm almost like I am back when I was 16 also, where I was like, why don't they just show him getting? Why don't they show the scene? So, but it's an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It was just worth mentioning.
That's fair.
What do you think is the real like? Do you have a reason? Like, I mean, do you have like a specific reason why you think they're like, let's not show this?
To me, the only thing I can think of is it does two things. I guess is like with what you said, it changes the tone a little bit. It kind of dispenses with some of that because it doesn't it literally fade to black as she says he like laughs when she says beer leads or
Yes, yeah, it does.
something like
It
that,
fades to black and then quickly cuts to
and you
the
hear
car
it from
pull.
far away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's from what's his face's car and he's driving. It's
yeah.
from his perspective.
I think it just is like we've already done the hotel shootout. We've done the motel, sneaking around. I think they were saying like, let's just do something different. And also from that moment on, except for the car, well, okay. I take that back. It's not from that moment on, but it sort of pivots and suddenly it's like, it's his movie. It's
Yeah.
from, Sheriff
Yeah, I
Bells.
mean
And
that is mostly true. I mean, there's only one other scene
it,
that's from
it's almost like what were you going to say?
there's only one other scene from Sugar's perspective, so it does
Yeah.
kind of pivot.
Well, yeah, but it does this thing where it's just like suddenly we're on the back foot again. Like we've been primed to be like, oh, they're going to do another one of those hotel things.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're like, wait, whoa, and it's almost like the not having that tension is its own form of tension because now you're behind
Yeah.
the eight ball and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
what is happening? Like, and you're fighting to keep up, and it's just a different form of like, I don't know, process. I can't answer. I'm almost only theorizing because I truly don't know why they did
Yeah.
it that way.
No,
But
no, that makes sense. And the
I
more
don't hate it.
it's funny, the more you're talking about it, the more I'm like, even though it wasn't Sugar specifically, my idea of like the idea is that all this is inevitable regardless. It's still that theme
Hmm.
still kind of that idea still kind of fits. It's like like the minute he took it's like the coin. The coin's taken 22 years to get to you. It's like the minute you took that money, this was going to happen. Whether it was
Right, right.
so like I guess it still kind of fits that theme. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's interesting. We wouldn't be talking that much about. I mean, it's a cool choice, but
Hmm.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It was something worth talking through. I'm starting to feel like the I'm lost is more of like moments worth talking through and less about
Yeah,
like this
I'm, we're
wrong.
helping. We're finding our way.
Yeah, now some of them are just wrong, but okay. What about you? Those are all things I said. Do you have what do you got?
So yeah, I have two. How exactly did Carson or Woody Harrelson know exactly where Moss Brolin throw the money? That never made any sense to me. He just suspects he must have thrown over this portion of the fence. What if he was on the other side of the road? Like,
So I mean, I guess we don't know how long he's been looking. I always took that as just like a movie magic where it's like
yeah,
implied that he's been looking for a long time.
I guess I never
I
thought
guess
about how long.
my question on that is like, why didn't he just go get it then?
Right. That
Then he goes back to the hotel and he's like, I know where it is. That's a terrible Woody Harrelson impression, but he's like, I know where it is. And then he's like,
yeah,
if you know where it is, you would have it. And it's kind of
yeah,
like, he's kind of right. But it's
yeah,
like, you would
exactly.
know where it is, but it's also like, why don't you have it?
Yeah, why can't you just go down there and get
Yeah.
it that day? Like, even if you leave Brolin and go, well, he leaves Brolin in the hospital. He goes, knows where it is, and then he goes. You're right. He should have just gone to the hotel. Or if you know where it is, get out of there. Like, you
Yeah.
just
Go get
found
it
the
and
money.
leave.
What?
Yeah.
Who are you gonna?
Yeah.
So then the other thing I had is this is really quick, but just how old is Moss supposed to be? And this is why I'm curious about Brolin's casting because he's young in this movie. He just straight up is, but he's playing someone who went through like he's already had a life as a welder. He's
Yeah.
living on his retirement, but he looks like he's in his like 40s. I don't get it.
He's living on his retirement. Is there a line about that? I
There's
don't think I ever
not, but
caught that.
that was always my interpretation. Maybe he had a weekend off and he just stopped welding for the weekend or something. Because like
Yeah.
I took it as if
Cause
he's been
she works at Walmart. Like he says, you're retired now.
yeah.
So like and obviously he needs the money. So
I
and he's
guess he
living
probably does weld, yeah.
yeah, I don't think he's retired. I think that's a
And I guess they went to Vietnam like at like I mean as young as 17 or whatever. So
yeah. And what was it? 73 was when it ended?
yeah. Can I tell you a story?
Yeah. So that's 7 years.
So
So it's pretty
that
probably
it makes sense. So I um was
you were in Nam.
that wasn't numb. No, so it's related. So you know how we talked about how I'm not good at numbers? Like I
Hmm.
didn't realize that I was 11. At my first job, I was
You didn't realize you weren't born in Vietnam.
yeah no my first job I was 15, so that would have been I can't do math. We this is the point of the story.
You're 96, so it would have been 2015 would have been 2011.
Okay, so 2011, let's say I'm at Panera. It's my first job. My manager is in his 40s. I asked him. I looked him in the face and I said, "Were you in Vietnam?" I've never seen a man more confused about how to answer a question. He was like, "What did you just say to me?" I was like, "Were you in Vietnam?" He was like, "Was I in Vietnam?" I'm 42. It was, ooh, it was the. I've never told that story. I don't even think I've told that to anybody.
That is hilarious.
It was the
So,
most.
so he's 42 in 2011.
Yeah.
So that would have mean he was born in like 60. What is it? Yeah, no, wait.
Let's
Oh,
say he was like
I'm doing the
40.
same.
I don't even
I'm
know.
doing the same. Now I'm doing the same thing you
But
did
that's
though.
what I'm
He's
saying.
born
My
in
perception
70
of
or 80 or wait, 90 is 10, 2000 is 20, 2011 is 30. So you've been born in 1970. So yeah, you've been 3 years old. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But
at the latest that he could have gone when he
yeah,
would have been 3. He was born in the middle of
or something
Vietnam,
like
and I'm
that.
like, "Were you in Nam?"
What's so funny is we're very confidently saying these dates, and then we're gonna get someone who's like, Vietnam ended in 76 or something. But
Who cares?
I don't
Point is, I'm the idiot, and I don't need to be corrected about how stupid I am. I'm good.
Fair enough.
Hey guys, I know how dumb I am. It's okay.
Yep. Any more? I'm lost.
Uh, that was the only thing I had was just I didn't understand. Well, there's a few, but I just didn't understand how he didn't get the money. But
All right.
no.
All right. Moving on to studio notes. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go for? I guess it's your turn to go first.
Okay, so like you, I didn't really have any because I really do think this is like a perfect movie. I mean, it's not my favorite movie. It's not even a movie that I like enjoyed the most, but I just think it is you can't argue that's pretty note perfect. I don't like when he shoots the guy with the bolt in the head that he pulls over once he gets the cop car towards the
Hmm.
beginning of the movie, just because the blood looks really badly CGI'd. I just it takes me out of it a little bit. I'm just like, you didn't have to show. You could see it from the behind and he falls, or you could show it from his face and you just it's like a. But I didn't think we needed the blood. But that's how like nitpicky I had to be because the
Yeah.
movie's perfect. So what about you?
Um, Mine was just sit on it. Just it's finished. Sit on it and release it 1 year later because 2008 was a weak year, and then both There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men could be Best Picture winners.
Not a bad idea.
Um,
That's pretty good.
the only other thing I said, which is not necessary, and I'm not asking for this. I'm not. I don't want
Yes,
people
you
to.
are.
I don't want people like, oh, this guy. But I'm saying if they wanted to have some sort of burst of action closer to the end before the dream scene to make it a little bit more of like a climax,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you have a scene with Sugar encountering those cartel guys, but still not finding the money.
Could be.
Um, but that was not. I'm not saying we. I just for the sake of
S-
studio notes, I was like, do you? But you really don't need that. I mean, you
Does
don't need
he
that.
does he get the money? Is that the idea that
No,
he gets the
he
money?
never gets the money. That's the thing. He never does. So
So the
I think
money, where is the money? Because he kills Carson. He says, "I know where the money is going to be," but then the cartel guys get Moss,
because
and Moss doesn't have the
yeah,
money.
the cartel guys get it from Moss. That's why they get it from
So
Moss.
Moss does have the money, and then they take it.
Yeah, Moss takes it back since Woody Harrelson for some stupid reason didn't pick it up, and then they kill because he has it when he's talking to or he has it in the scene before he talks to the girl with the beer, and then
Mm,
so I guess they take it, and then at that point he's already killed the head of the cartel, so now it's not even about working for the cartel. Now he's just in it. I guess
hmm,
Harrelson says, he'll just kill you out of inconvenience. So now he's just
mm-hmm.
on a tear to kill all these people because they inconvenienced him. So who knows what he'd even do with the money? Probably. I mean, again, I've made this comparison several times, but he's kind of like Joker. Like everything he likes is cheap, gunpowder. Yeah, so what's he gonna do with the money?
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah.
fair. I had one studio note for Criterion. You ready for
What?
this?
Yeah, it's already released.
I don't like the cover art
Oh, you don't like the cover art?
to the point where I'm not sure I don't need to own the movie. Did you buy it?
No one cares. That's what I was like. No. Yeah. That's yeah. It's a weird nitpick, but
I don't know. I'm trying to find some.
there's plenty of Criterion covers I don't like. So but there's some great ones. I don't have that one because I just sometimes I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I just money wise, it's like, do I want to double like double dip on No Country where the actual Blu-ray I have is fine for a Criterion or buy a movie I don't own and I'm going with a movie I don't own, but I'll probably eventually get it.
Mm. I feel like
Anyways,
yeah. I I don't have that many Criterions. I have a few. I have Blood Simple. So
I have a bunch. I have Blood Simple as well. If it's a competition, okay. God,
I actually am more of I went through a phase and it's kind of over, but where I got really into steelbooks. I discovered like during
yeah.
COVID, I went nuts over steelbooks. And I own a lot of them. So
See, that's where we're different. I don't have a lot of steelbooks. I have a lot of Criterions and like some arrows, that kind of thing, but
hmm
like boutique stuff, but not really steelbooks. Steelbooks are cool, but
they are.
I'd rather spend the money on boutique stuff and for the things that
I think it's because the art of steelbooks to me just is a little bit better, but
they
it
know.
just
Yeah,
depends.
they normally are. I have the steelbook of one battle after another because it's the steelbook 4K is the only one that came with the special features, and I wanted the special features. But
Did you like that documentary
yeah, it was
or
very
the
interesting.
special features?
It was very
That's
cool.
good.
It was very weird seeing because like he doesn't do like any hardly any press and stuff. It was very
hmm
weird seeing all that like footage of Leo on set like being a human being. Because like it was just like at one point he like is like he they like accidentally hit another car and he's like,
Uh-huh.
oh, we have to stop, we hit a car. I don't know, it's just like he's just normal and
Hmm.
like being a normal person. And then like he hits his funny bone, he's like, I hit my funny bone. I'm like, this is weird. Like because he's so protective of his image, you know. So it's
Yeah.
just like that was honestly that was one of the more, I mean, obviously it was fascinating seeing PTA work, but that was one of the things that jumped out at me. I was like, this is
Hmm.
interesting.
I've heard
uh
that's pretty common though with like actors. A lot of those kind of actors are just really protective because of the public. I mean, obviously they're protective because
yeah.
of the, but they feel comfortable on set, like being
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah. I'm not saying it was weird, like it's weird that he does that. I'm saying it was just weird for
To
me to
see
be able
it,
to see it. Yeah.
yeah, to let that, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
see what you mean.
I mean that's one
It's like
reason
seeing Tom Cruise pee.
exactly. Yeah. It's like they don't um I think especially nowadays with social media where they'll cut up any little thing that possibly comes off weird. I just think people are their public images have gotten so boring, so it's just it on purpose, which like I get it. I understand why they do it, but so it's like interesting when it's like being able to see them as a person. It's just
Hmm.
but anyways. Yeah,
That's
but
why
yeah,
we don't edit anything.
nothing. But yeah, the Criterion is I'm sure it's good. Check it out. If you haven't seen it. You know, we haven't been doing cine echoes or anything or any of that kind of stuff. That's just gonna come in naturally in conversations. We're done with that. But I will say, I kept saying it, but if you want a double feature, I think Blood Simple, Fargo are obvious if you want more Coen brothers. But I really do think this movie pairs up really well with The Dark Knight. I brought it up a couple times and they came out a year apart. And I just really do feel like they came out 6 months apart or something like that. And they really remind me of each other
Was
thematically.
this so? This would have been Christmas of '06,
Oh
and then or
seven
oh seven,
and
and
Dark
then
Knight was oh 08. Yeah, it was July
yeah,
oh 08.
July. Yeah,
Yeah.
that wow. Hmm.
So very interesting to me that they're very thematically similar. Um,
If you had to have
yeah,
one movie from 2007 that you could rewatch, like you can,
it would be There
you
Will Be Blood. I mean, that's
really okay.
it's too easy.
I didn't know how to frame it, but
Too big of a
yeah.
PTA fan. It would be There Will Be Blood.
Hmm.
That's just hard. It's hard. Like, I mean, I would, because like I guess like for it's like if I had to pick one of those, picking There Will Be Blood's one maybe his best movie, and he's my favorite filmmaker. Versus like No Country I Love, but it's like I got a bunch of other Coens option. I got like Social Network's my favorite Fincher. So if I lose Zodiac, I mean I don't want to lose either one. Those a tough. It's a tough decision.
Hmm.
Which is luckily we don't have to do that. So
I think it'd have to be
real quick
either.
off the top, yeah, go ahead, go ahead, yeah.
I was gonna say either Zodiac or Michael Clayton. Probably Zodiac.
Oh yeah, Michael Clayton wouldn't even
I
be on my
like Michael
list for me.
Clayton though. It's
Oh
that's
no,
one of my favorite opening
I
monologues.
love Michael Clayton, but I'm just saying that's how much more I love these
Michael,
movies.
Michael. Of course, it's you. That's what they sent.
Yeah. Tom Wilkinson, rest in peace. I love him. What an actor.
Uh,
Um,
I know you want to go. Wait, just wait.
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
They, and then
I could just do it.
when he's in like Batman Begins,
Hmm.
it's so random. Um, yeah, I've been hitting all these random Nolan ones because everyone's like, you hate Nolan, so I'm just gonna fix my image. No, I'm just kidding. But what I was, oh yeah, I mentioned this as like like off the top of your head, top
Hmm.
10 favorite Best Picture winners.
It's gonna be tough because
I would
they're gonna
say,
be really recent.
oh, I can give you, okay, The
Can I do
Godfather,
five?
Godfather and Godfather 2, definitely out there. That's two.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, One Battle After Another because obviously in PTA. I would say No Country's on there.
Hmm.
That's four.
Oppenheimer,
Yeah, Oppenheimer would be on my list too. That's five. Um, I would put French Connection. That's six.
Casablanca.
Yeah, Casablanca. There you go. Seven. Uh, this is hard.
Oh,
Well, the
what
80s.
about Schindler's List?
Yeah, I would put Chandler's. That's an incredible movie. Like
It is.
I've literally watched it all the way through once because it's so tough, but that is an incredible movie.
It's
Uh,
rough.
that's eight. The 80s, all the Best Picture winners, the 80s below, so I can just skip
Well,
that.
what about
Oh, One Flew the Cuckoo's
Raging?
Nest. I love
Well,
that one.
what about Raging Bull? Did it not win Best Picture?
No, it lost to
Whoa.
fucking Ordinary People. It's terrible.
Well, no, I
Yeah,
like ordinary people though.
yeah, but come on.
What about Kramer versus Kramer?
So
If
it's
you're
like
going for the '80s
Kramer's
or
79. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah,
Philadelphia Story?
did that one? I don't know if that one Best Picture did it.
Oh, what about It Happened One Night? That's a good one.
Yeah, we'll go with that. That's my 10th. I just named 10.
Okay,
Yeah, Scorsese famously lost Raging Bull and Goodfellas. He lost Best Director and Best Picture to a first-time actor turned director. That's tough.
that is tough.
Because like, let's be real here. Robert Redford won because he's Robert Redford, and it's a popularity contest. And then same thing with uh fucking what's his name, Kevin. Not Ke- what I why have I gone blank on
Kevin Costner?
Kevin Costner? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually one reason. So as the Academy has gotten more international, people are like, oh,
Hmm.
people have good taste. Like they're bringing in different tastes, and that's why better movies are winning. But it's actually even simpler than that. It's because everything's international. The stupid like popularity contest of like let me go campaign doesn't work anymore because half these people are like in France. So it's like, oh, I don't. You're campaigning in LA. That doesn't affect me. I'm picking the best movie. You know.
Hmm.
Like literally, like it's just I remember talking with um my friend Bill who knows a bunch of people and he said like somebody told him once like that every time they vote for he didn't. I forgot what the actor was. It was a pretty big actor. He was like every time they vote for best director, it's like a director that they've like recently had lunch with or something.
That's weird.
And like it's like that's like the common thing. It's like it's just a popularity contest.
Yeah, I
So
always
like,
say this, and it's like it does exist where like I don't care and I'll watch it every year and I'll follow the race because it's almost like something to do.
oh, I
It's
agree.
just it's
I
just like
I
I
I
it's
agree.
just fun. It's super easy. It's not like I could go learn physics or I could just keep with the race.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah. No, I talk shit about it all the time, and I still watch it every year. I mean, it's like it's the only time. It's like the only thing where it's like let's just celebrate movies, even if you're celebrating some bad ones. I don't know. It's just something that like it's I can't escape it.
yeah.
But anyways, yeah. No Country for Old Men, pretty good.
I mean, yeah, it was hard to like. I think it'll be interesting as we go on. We touched on this last week, but like the Odyssey was something we were working out in real time. We were trying to figure it out, and this movie is kind of like I did figure out some more stuff, but I've seen it to the point where I think I could have done this last week, and I didn't need to rewatch it or take notes. Like I could have pulled it off just
Yeah,
because I've seen it so many times, and it's been around for so long now. I mean, the majority of
yeah,
my life. So I don't really have anything that I was wrestling with. I'm like, yeah, it's a really really good movie, and I know it beat for beat, and love it. Like that's it. I mean, there's really it's not complicated, and so it's not worth discussion. We had I think a lot of stuff that you brought up that I was glad that you brought up because I didn't really look at it that way the first time, and it'll be fun to go back and see it again. So I think it is worth having these discussions of movies that you think you're set in, but just it's interesting to kind of work between movies that I really know and movies that I don't really know.
yeah. Well,
So which will be interesting for next week.
we'll mix it up. Yeah, because yeah. Well, next week is going to be. I think we confirmed it. I'm gonna
I think so.
and then I'll say it, and you're like, "What?" No, it's Robert Altman's "The Long Goodbye," which
Mm-hmm.
is one of my all-time favorite films. And how many times have you seen it?
That's how many.
Perfect. So that'll be an interesting conversation. Um, so yeah, well, we end every episode of this show by asking you, America, who won the podcast, and the results are in. I've got 5 million votes. Matt has one. Matt, I appreciate the fact that your mom always votes. All right, and any other closing thoughts? You just did your closing thoughts, so I don't think so. Um, yeah, next week, long goodbye. Until then, please, please, please follow us if you're not, like some videos, and
Mm.
just,
We will be on Spotify soon.
we'll hopefully be on Spotify soon. Um, I'll have the hopefully. Yeah, I'm Jacob Finus,
I'm Matt Whalen.
and this has been the Cause Cult of Movies podcast.